Welcome back to the Smash Cut Podcast. I'm Matt Grayson. This is Blake Hammer, who's going to take it away with the 3-sentence summary. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, Matt. Today we're getting straight into it. So, in today's episode, Bob Hoskins is Eddie Valiant, a professional boozer with a bad habit of doing detective work. When a cartoon rabbit named Roger becomes a suspect in the murder case of Marvin Acme, the man caught playing patty cake with his voluptuous wife, Roger falsely imprisons Eddie to enlist his services to clear his name. Eddie realizes that Roger is innocent, but must grapple with his grief over his brother having a piano dropped on his head, as well as the likely harmless Judge Doom and his army of weasels to find the true culprit. This is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Hell yeah. All right, well, getting right into our opening question. I was wondering, Blake, what would the British, and by British I mean Britain as we see it in Snatch, our previous episode, what would the British version of Toontown look like?
So I thought for this, are you saying the characters of Snatch are there, or just we want the English version of this?
So they go into Toontown, but it's
In the
London as
Snatch
depicted
universe.
by Guy Ritchie.
Okay, so first of all, there's going to be a lot of petty thieves, but they're going to be, I think the petty thieves in this one, they'll be shooting their guns and driving their cars properly because it has to be cartoonish and not realistic to life, but and also very cartoonish for Britain. They'll actually have like guns that are like assault rifles instead of like pea shooters, and then and then their cars will drive on the right side of the road instead of the left side because we got to make it super wacky for Britain. And instead of drinking, like weak ass tea, they'll drink coffee. And maybe there will be like some Chinese flags and like food that people actually enjoy eating. And the sun will be shining bright blue. Because we gotta reflect a little bizarro world that's really funny. And in this one, people all have thick Southern accents or Jersey Shore accents.
Wouldn't they still just be British if it's British Toontown?
Well, this is like wacky British Toontown. So
they all have like
the one thing that is
accents.
the one thing that is still true to Britain in this Toontown is their teeth are comically fucked up. Like they all have like buck teeth or horse teeth or missing teeth. Really poor portion. They're also all really red for some reason, even though it's like 60 degrees out. They're like bright red, like disgustingly so. Like they look like burnt potatoes. And they're very lumpy. And that's what British Toontown looks like.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, let's get right into the scenes of this movie. Now that we've had that beautiful visual of British Toontown,
it's a mixture of fantasy and reality.
All right. Well, I thought right out of, as I'm prone to say, right out the gate with this movie, the animation quality is surprisingly good. I mean, even by today's standards, like it still has that old slow frame rate, gritty aspect to it, like hand drawn. But I thought for a movie from the 80s, the animation beats out some movies that are made today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to probably glaze the animation of this movie. Not so much the other aspects of it, but especially for the 80s, this is fucking insane. Just to give some quick stats for this movie, there were over 300 animators that worked on this movie, and they made over 80,000 frames of animation for the movie. And then Richard Williams was the guy, I'm going to reference him a lot. He was the head of animation for the movie. Mm-hmm. And he had three kind of main ways he wanted to innovate for this movie. And I thought he kind of hit a home run with all three. So first of all, he wanted to move the camera with the animation as much as possible so it didn't look like a flat background someone's kind of drawing on a storyboard. Which, I mean, if we just talk about the first cartoon with Roger and Baby Herman like that, it looks like this is taking place like in a real setting and not like a 40s cartoon. As another one was he wanted to use lighting and shadows to a level that was surpassed anything that had previously been attempted. I mean, there's a lot of work with kind of crazy lighting, especially the sequence where Valiant drives into Toontown. That was fucking nuts. Yeah. And then lastly, having the tunes interact with real world objects and people as much as possible. I mean, one scene to me that immediately comes to mind is when Judge Doom puts that shoe in the dip. he's like picking it up like it's an actual object. So all three of those, I mean, those are just some shining examples. There's probably 4 or 5 great examples of each of those three. But the animation and the live action aspects of the movie, I really felt complemented each other rather than contrasted each other. And it just is a kind of seamless interweaving of live action and animation that I honestly do not think any movie since then has done as well. The only other movies I can think of that attempt stuff like that is Space Jam, which we'll talk about probably on a later episode.
Yeah, this is
And
like Space Jam, but well made.
no, and
I
Looney Tunes
also,
Back in Action, which is
yeah.
not nearly as good.
So the camera movement thing was one of the first things I noticed, where the camera actually moves with the action in the animated scenes, which it's jarring in that it's so much higher quality than what you're used to, because it opens with a classic Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry looking, cartoon intro with just a title card and the
Mm-hmm.
actors and whatnot. And then they hit every old animated movie cliche in the books. But
Oh
in a
yeah,
way where like it's clear that that's what they're doing on purpose. But instead of just hitting them, they also add in that dynamic camera movement that really, I don't know, just added such a higher level of quality to it. And then as soon as that opening sequence of, they're filming that TV show of Roger and baby Herman and, he's the baby that has to escape.
he wants the cookies. Also, I will say with the opening cartoon, Baby Herman's parents did a fucking terrible job
Dude,
childproofing their house.
that was one of the first things that I wrote down is that this mom left her infant child in the care of a rabbit. like anthropomorphized or whatever, rabbit or not, you still left your infant child in the care of a rabbit. And then also, after we have the cut where it's revealed that this is essentially a cartoon film set with real humans interacting, which is where we get our first taste of like the humans and the toons interacting together. During this scene, and hopefully I'll be able to put it in the edit, while Roger's being yelled at for his performance, baby Herman's mouth is moving like he's talking the whole time, but there's no lines. So I think they like meant for him to be talking over it and then realized that that wasn't going to play. So they just cut his lines, but couldn't afford to redo the animation. So the whole time Roger's getting yelled at, baby Herman is like looking at them, but nothing's coming out of his mouth. And this is where I love the fact that baby Herman is just like a middle-aged smoker.
Yeah,
And also we have Roger, he's getting yelled at because he had birds flying around his head when he got hit instead of stars.
yeah.
And the director's like, oh, and that's like one of the first instances of a human interacting with a toon where he's like, oh, what this says? It's a bird, not, it says stars. But this just threw a massive question into the mix of this movie unintentionally, which is, did Roger Rabbit spawn those birds into existence? Because they're making it seem like it's his fault it's birds and not stars, which would seem to imply that he made them appear, but they also have, like, they get hurt when the director grabs them. So, like, did he spawn living, feeling things into existence?
Well, I don't think the tunes can feel. Well, I guess they feel emotions, but not pain. But I don't know. Like, does he have control over what's coming out of his head? Because, like, after the director screams at him, he starts hitting, which he doesn't feel pain, so it's okay. But he starts hitting himself in the head over and over from a frying pan, and he cannot get stars to come out. So is it like, is he just doing like a random wheel every time? And he's like, I hope stars come out. I hope stars come out.
Yeah, and like, what happened? Like, if you're spawning living beings, like, what else can he manifest into real life? Like, if he's do those birds just have consciousness now and they just float away into nothingness? And also, they do feel pain. They like animatedly feel pain. It's just that they don't like.
There's no repercussions.
Yeah, but they do feel pain, which is sort of a moral conundrum that this movie just moves past. They're like, move past it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I mean, to me, it's like they're like pro wrestlers, kind of. It's like they're definitely acting, and that's a big part of what they're doing. But like a lot of what they're getting paid for is their kind of stunt work, daredevil type shit.
Yeah, I guess that's the safest way to put it for the sake of this movie. And we also have Valiant opening by being like tunes, like disappointedly, and I was like, dude, tunes is a slur in the same way that clanker is.
I love calling ChatGPT a clanker, dude. You can't fight back, dude.
And the tunes can't either. But like, imagine, dude, imagine being. I watched this movie as a kid, but like old enough to know that this was still a movie. Imagine being a small child and seeing this movie and being like, wait, the cartoons are real?
Well, it's funny you say that because this movie I have seen once before, but I was 8 years old the first time I saw it. So, like, not only did, like, you know, a lot of the innuendos, Jessica Rabbit stuff go over my head, the
Yeah.
fact that, like, Detective Valiant was an alcoholic went completely over my head. I was like, man, like, he seems really upset to be hanging out with Mickey Mouse. Like, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, and also we get when we're introduced to Acme and he's talking about Roger Rabbit, he's like, his wife's poison, but he thinks she's Betty Crocker.
Well, I was going to say, too, in that scene, so just to move the plot along a little bit. So after Roger goes off set, Maroon, who is kind of the director of Roger's studio, kind of think about it like Golden Age of Hollywood, how the heads of studio have a lot of control. That's kind of who he is. And he's like, yeah, Roger's not performing well recently because his wife, Jessica, who we don't know what she looks like at this point, has been cheating on him. And there's a tabloid newspaper that only reports on cartoon characters. And the front page headline is that Jessica Rabbit was out with her sugar daddy. So the Valiant essentially is introduced because Maroon goes up to him and he's like, hey, I'm going to pay you $100, which, by the way, is a terrible deal. Even 1947,
It's
that's
like
about
$300.
1,500 today.
No, I looked it up. It's like 300.
We were looking at different news sources, brother. Well, it's 1947. You were probably looking 1989.
88. Yeah, it might have been it.
Yeah, because the movie's set 47. But either way, not a great deal. But he's like, yeah, I need you to basically take photos of Roger's wife cheating on him at, at this club. I believe it's called the Ink and Paint Club, which, by the way, looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's basically sends him out to go there, and Eddie very clearly just despises tunes. He also loves boozing. Like, I think most of the first, like, I'd say 70-ish% of the movie, almost every time any consequential event happens, he chugs his flask.
Yeah, dude, he's whipping that thing out at any given opportunity. We also Valiant, I wrote this down, looks like Frank, looks like a young Danny DeVito, like a young Frank from It's Always Sunny, but with Charlie's tie from It's Always Sunny, like that ridiculously small tie that Charlie always wears. It's literally those combinations. And I was like, based on the world that we're living in, tunes are sort of treated like slaves.
Well,
but also some of them get paid.
It's funny you say that because the movie doesn't really lean into this, which I think was probably for the better given the general tone of the movie. But in the original novel that this movie's based off of, which is called Who Censored Roger Rabbit, the tunes kind of being stand-in for like the black community, you know, post Reconstruction, pre-civil rights, is played up a lot more. And like in the Ink and Paint Club, they make a point of like they're allowed to be there as performers or workers, but they can't actually attend themselves. And a big conflict in the book, which is kind of ignored in the movie, is that Jessica Rabbit has a moral dilemma of whether to play up her more human characteristics to try to fit in with the human world or embrace the fact that she is a tune. Which I personally think the movie would have not handled that very well.
It's also funny because in trying to make like a progressive commentary on race relations, he ended up being inadvertently blatantly racist because, bro, he made the black people literally cartoons. like instead, like that's just who can't feel pain and whose whole life is just to be entertainment. Like,
well, dude, in that scene with Dumbo, or Maroon hired Dumbo from Disney, and he's like, the best part is they work for peanuts, and he just feeds Dumbo peanuts, and it's like, what are we trying to say here, guys?
Yeah, and also, this is completely unrelated, but after this we have Valiant moving on to, go back to his office or whatever, the classic film noir style
Yeah.
detective office. There's a lady secretary, sort of.
Well, I think she quit to work
I'll
at the
get into
bar.
Dolores more, but her role in this movie, it seems like, was just whatever the fuck they felt like at any given moment. But there's a trolley, and he tries to pay for it with a check. Yeah. And the trolley guy gives like the most realistic response in the entire movie, which is, "What am I, a bank?" And it's like, very fair, dude. This guy's working public transportation in the 40s. Like, it probably cost a nickel at most, and he's trying to give him a check, and it's like, dude, cash is probably too much to pay for this, and you think you're getting in there with a fucking check?
Bro, I don't think we're that far removed at that point from him being able to use the barter system to get onto the bus.
That would have been more realistic. If he was like, saying, "Hey, I'll wash your car," that would have been more useful to that dude than trying to hand him a fucking check. And then I love how he just hops on the back with the boys.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in the movie, Eddie hits a crazy 1-2 combo, which instantly made me like, this is definitely the hero of the movie. I love this guy. So he hops on the back of the bus and not like the back of the bus. Like, he literally hops on like a stoop that's attached to the back of the bus with a bunch of... The trolley, yeah. With a bunch of 12-year-olds and bums cigarettes off them. Yeah. Then he gets off the bus, arrives at his office, and by the way, the trolley goes maybe 10 miles an hour at most. It's going at the speed of like a golf cart. And then he gets his bills and then immediately tosses them in the trash. Like, that will just make them go away.
Yeah, two of the things, I was like, first of all, he hops off the trolley and thanks these 12-year-old boys for giving him a pack of Tofarettes.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, damn, okay. And then, yeah, he's like, "Oh, bills," and throws them in the trash. And it's like, well, what are they going to do? I mean... Yeah. That's a classic move. And then he then goes to talk to Dolores and gives her the and we get introduced to her, and he at the bar, and he gives her $50, and she's like, "Yeah, well, you still owe me the other 50." And it's like, how did this dude? He took out a $1,500 loan from this bartender. Like, how does she have that disposable income?
Well, I was gonna say, dude, it's kind of like that meme where it's like, I'm drowning financially. What do I do? And it's like, rent $900, groceries $300, car payments $150, candles $3,000. That's like Eddie, but with booze. It's like, my monthly income is $1,500, and $2,000 of it is going to scotch and whiskey. I wonder why I have no money. He seemed like, and he's not ordering cheap shit at this bar. He keeps ordering like dark liquor on the rocks. That's not cheap.
Yeah. He also, this is when we get like an explanation as to why he's a tunist. He's racist against the tunes.
He's an anti-tuner.
Yeah, and Dolores is giving the monologue to, first of all, we get introduced to the asshole dude at the bar.
Oh, I love this character.
Yeah, who's just a dickhead.
But I have then some quotes from Angelo, dude.
Yeah, and then also his buddy, who's a mute that writes on like a pad that's attached to him, who is never referenced again in the movie. They just
dude, there's also a little person who's introduced in this scene.
Well, but he comes back.
He comes in handy later on.
Yeah.
He's a surprise tool that helps the crew later.
Yeah, but he just this mute dude who writes on a book. I was I can't wait to see what kind of hijinks this guy gets into. Never comes back in the rest of the movie. And Dolores, deadpan, has to deliver the line, "Toon killed his brother, dropped a piano on his head."
Yeah, well, the reason she does that is because Eddie Valiant freaks out in the scene because Angelo just hit banger after banger of one-liners on him. He says, "Who's the client, Mr. I think this is his first line in the movie. He says, "Who's the client, Mr. Detective to the stars? Chilly Willy or Screwy Squirrel?" Then he's asked him the final straw for Valiant, which I can't imagine actually getting in a bar fight over this. He says, are you gonna help little Bo Peep find her lost sheep? And he goes fucking ape shit and shoves an egg in his mouth and like smushes it on his head. And that's when Dolores tells Angelo the unfortunate fate of his brother.
Yeah.
Which also, besides the fact that that is hilarious, the entire bar turned around when she said that.
Yeah, dude, they all know Dolores is about to spill the tea and they got to be paying attention. They're all locked in. This is a tight-knit group of what does he call them? Reprobates at the bar. These are boys. They know when to tune in. And I also they like have some tunes in the background of the scene. I was like, imagine how jarring in real life seeing an object that just exists in cartoon form.
Well, dude, I'm just thinking about this because obviously this is 40, so 40s characters, but like imagine you're just like walking down the aisle at the grocery store and you see like Patrick Star there.
Yeah,
Like,
and again, like this is what I was trying to like. I didn't know how to write it down, but just like to the human eye, seeing an object that's entire existence is not how we see the world.
yeah, I mean, the best way to put it is it's like there are animate 2D beings in a 3D world.
Yeah.
And that's just like an accepted part of reality in this universe.
Yeah, and I feel like there would be no point where that would not be incredibly jarring.
I mean, I would be freaked out. I'd get freaked out if I saw a robot come to my work. Much less a fucking cartoon. Like, dude, imagine Karen from SpongeBob came to your work.
Yeah, I'd be very concerned about my mental health if I
You get to work and your boss is like, yeah, today our client is Mr. Crocker.
Yeah, also, I feel like crimes related to tunes, not them committing them, but on them, would just be rampant. Like, they basically are treated as objects with no feeling.
Well, I mean, I don't know how it'd be possible to get an assault charge, like a guilty verdict on that if it's against the tune, because like their job is to hurt themselves.
Yeah, I mean, so many points of this movie I was writing down. Like, you could make a 5-hour long video essay on the legal and moral ramifications of how tunes are treated in this movie, because it's like they introduce so many concepts and then just breeze right. It is a kids movie, granted. Okay, I'm not like faulting the movie for this. They're not going to get into it, but like it was shocking to me how in most movies that do this, they like pick a fantasy movies, magic movies. They still have a rule set.
Yeah,
because otherwise the audience just has no idea what the fuck is going on. So like even if the rules are ridiculous, they have rules. This movie just introduced a new rule for tunes every 20 minutes.
I will say, in defense of the movie, they almost could not have even shot any more scenes. This was one of the most expensive movies produced the entire decade of the 80s.
Well, one of the things I wrote down, at the time, this was the most expensive movie ever made.
That's crazy. Yeah, this would be, I mean, it wouldn't be a low budget movie now, but this would be like a mid tier Hollywood movie with this budget. The production budget was
80 mil.
It was 50.6 million. So it was commonly cited as 70 million, but apparently that figure was inflated. Regardless, still very expensive. And the bulk of the budget was on the animation, because obviously it's not cheap to make that look good. So
226 million today. I think that might be the budget of the Odyssey.
Range. I was gonna say that's like a pretty,
which is that's like Marvel movie level budget for a product that is not a modern blockbuster.
Well, before we get into kind of where a lot of the budget goes, which is this next scene at the Inking Paint Pen Club, I do want to ask you one question with the bar scene, Matt. If you were on the set of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and you were tasked with delivering Dolores's lines in that scene, how many takes would it take you to do it without laughing mid-take?
I think I could do it exactly once. I think the first take, I'd be like, Toon killed his brother, dropped a piano on his head. And then if you tried to get me to say it again, I'd laugh. So it's like if that first take isn't good, too fucking bad. I could not say that again.
So to move forward in the movie, so at this point, Eddie leaves the bar where he seemingly owes hundreds of dollars in unpaid tabs, which I don't know why he's still allowed to drink there. And goes.
Is that what it is? Because I don't feel like I feel like she said she gave him a loan, but for indescript purpose. Like it seems like he somehow just casually borrowed $1,500 in today's money from Dolores for no specific purpose.
I mean, dude, if you're an alcoholic, some way or another, that movie went to booze. I don't know if it was directly to the bar or he's going to like grocery stores and getting drunk off of cheap scotch and screaming about tunes.
But
Ink and Paint Club is the name of the place, by the way.
Oh yeah, let's get to that because it's basically the most famous scene.
It's probably, I would say, my favorite scene in the movie. There is one scene later on that it's pretty neck and neck between those two, but this is probably one of the two animation high points of the movie.
I know what my least favorite scene was.
Okay, well, we'll get to that later. So, first of all, in terms of doing a metaphor for segregation in Black People of Tunes, again, this movie, by doing that, actually is more offensive because there is a cartoon gorilla bouncer at the club, and there are also crows who are playing the instruments. I'm going to leave it at that, but probably not the best animals to pick as stand-ins for this particular group. I will say, though, seeing a cartoon gorilla bouncer at a bar would be pretty sick.
Dude, I loved that guy. He didn't make my cut for side characters.
I considered him.
He didn't have enough time, but
yeah,
he seemed like, I love how he opened the door, like looking over at the whole, like he was just booling, and he took no shit. I mean, he was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I also, something I thought was funny is they have the octopus bartender.
Oh, I loved that.
Which, like makes internal kid sense of, oh, they've got lots of arms, they can do lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you actually pay attention to what he's doing, he's serving individual customers while his other arms just do nothing or like move around as if they're doing stuff, but he's still like going person to person. And I was like, if you're gonna animate that for the joke, why are you having him act like a regular person?
Because he likes to dance, dude. That's what the other arms were doing. They were grooving and moving.
I guess. I mean, he was loving Daffy Duck's banger on the piano.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And I don't know which is which duck. I know they're from different... Daffy and...
Daffy is the black duck. Donald is the
Donald
white duck.
And they're playing piano, and one of them says to the other, last time I worked with somebody with a speech impediment.
Yeah, they both have speech impediments.
I was like, you guys are just tossing ableism into this for funsies. I love it.
Dude, it's interesting, that scene. So you'll notice, and later on Bugs Bunny and Mickey are together. So Warner Brothers agreed to let their characters be licensed for the movie, even though it was produced by Disney, if their characters got equal screen time as the Disney characters. So that's why they're always in pairs.
And I love that's such a hilarious solution, because I feel like they thought that it would mean that they'd each have like their own scenes of equal importance, and the film creators were like, fuck it, just put them together in each one.
Yeah, let's just have them in the film for random 30-second intervals just to flex that we license the character.
Yeah. And then also we have our introduction to Marvin Acme, who is a real prankster.
He's a real creep, dude.
First of all, he never misses a show with Jessica Rabbit because he knows what's up. But as soon as Valiant walks over, he just nuts on him with some ink.
He nuts the ink on him?
Yeah, and then is like, haha, joke's on you, it's disappearing ink. It's like, bro, imagine you walked into a bar and then a guy you vaguely know just blasts ink at your shirt, and then it's like, oh, chill, it's a prank.
Well, dude, he then follows that up by being like, oh, sorry about that, I'll shake your hand, and buzzing the hand buzzer on him. If some guy I didn't know, like, pulled that 1-2 combo on me, I'm fighting him right then and there. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's disrespectful.
If you blast my shirt with ink and then literally tase me in the hand and are like, ha, gotcha, that's not a good start to a relationship. And then it cuts back to Donald and Daffy doing their little thing, and Donald just spawns a cannon in the
Oh,
piano.
I loved that.
And this introduced two questions to me. One is a recurring question. Can they just spawn anything into existence? Like, why don't they just spawn a mansion and a wife and a great job? Like, they could seemingly create anything out of existence, and yet they somehow have problems.
I think my interpretation of this is they can only spawn things that are part of their feature film universe. So, like, Mickey can spawn, like, his broomstick from Fantasia, but he couldn't spawn in, like, a social security check.
Yeah.
Like, that's outside the realm of what he's able to do.
Well,
And
I don't know how a cannon is specific to Daffy Duck.
well,
but...
it's first of all, Donald's the one who spawns it.
Donald.
Real toon heads know that. But besides that, I mean, it's just stuff that would appear in a cartoon. Like, they can spawn in an anvil, but they couldn't spawn in, like, a monkey wrench.
Where's the distinction between those two?
Because you never see people dropping monkey wrenches on their heads.
Yes,
in the
you
cartoon.
do. They throw them at people comedically.
Let me put it this way: like, they could spawn in, like, and I'm talking about the food here, a cream pie. They could not spawn in, like,
a cream
caviar.
pie. Oh,
well,
yeah.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they can only spawn stuff that, like, are cartoon gags kind of things.
And then
also, speaking of cartoon gags here, because we're going to gloss past this part. So Eddie, one of my favorite gags of the whole movie, Eddie says to the waiter, "I want a scotch on the rocks, and I mean ice." And then he gets his drink back, and they put actual rocks in it.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good one, because I think for adults it's worth, a couple of yucks, and for kids it's like fucking hilarious. They're
like, ha, he has rocks in his drink.
Because they have no idea what scotch on the rocks means.
Yeah,
but they know he said ice. And then when they come back and it's actual rocks, they're like, ha, rocks in your adult drink. And then the Daffy thing also made me think, why would this? So they've shown that, like, these characters, like, it opens with Roger getting in trouble for not performing to the level they want.
Yeah.
Why is this bar hiring two acts that, according to their own statements, regularly blow shit up and don't finish their set? Because the cannon actually blew a hole in that piano.
Okay, this is my thought of this, and again, I'm doing a lot of theorizing of the toon world, like Matt Pat, but way less cringy. I think that, like, it's kind of like an SNL type thing, or like one of those more edgy stand-up comedians where it's like, come see these two loose cannons perform. You don't know what's gonna happen next. And,
okay,
like,
I can see that.
Occasionally, they actually finish their set, but it's like, like, Donald, like, dropped an anvil on Daffy's head, and then today, Daffy lit Donald on fire with a TNT boomstick, and the stage exploded. It's like, ha ha! What are these wacky pranks we're gonna do yesterday?
Bamboo shoots under Donald's toenails and nailed him off.
Tomorrow, Daffy crucifies Donald live on stage.
I do wonder where the limit ends. I also Betty, what's her name?
Betty Boop.
Betty Boop is in the scene, so that's another famous behind the scenes tidbit about
the OG thought
about how, about how the theatrical release allegedly had a frame where her nips just pop out of her dress. I don't know about you, Blake, but I was not able to catch that in the version that I was watching, and apparently they removed it from the home releases so people wouldn't pause on those scenes.
I had the Blu-ray version, and I did not catch this. I also want to mention, because one of these scenes is about to happen. One of these scenes probably would have already happened, and one of them happens very shortly after this in the movie. There are 3 scenes that allegedly happened in this movie. I did not notice any of them. So besides Betty Boop nudity, there's apparently Jessica Rabbit nudity, which I did not catch that.
It was supposed to be like after she falls out of the car or something, but I don't remember that even happening in the movie.
I also wasn't, I'm not that much of a pervert. I was not going frame by frame looking for the scene.
You weren't dialed in waiting for it?
No. Now, if we were watching Basic Instinct, that would be a different story. But there was also apparently a scene, which this definitely did not happen, where Baby Herman extends his middle finger and goes under a woman's dress, and apparently his finger comes out of the woman's dress with like a cream drool on his lip is the exact quote, which I don't remember that
He
happening.
definitely went under the dress,
I don't
but
remember the drool on the
I
lip
don't think
piece.
that part. I think all these got. I think the animators got in some trouble and they had to remove it for the final release.
And then the last one is actually an audio thing. So during the dueling piano scene, Donald allegedly, what the line is officially, is doggone stubborn little. And people claim that he says doggone stubborn and then N word, which
Damn.
I did not pick up on that. That is
I mean,
not
it
what
is
I heard during that
47,
scene.
so that actually probably would have been more accurate.
And I'm not going to lie, the crowd probably would have ate that up. That would
Yeah,
have been like a good
even
tune
in the
of day.
80s, they would have been like, I can't say that anymore.
I mean, dude, 48 Hours, which is a movie that came out, I believe, 7 years prior to this, around earlier in the 80s, there is a scene where Nick Nolte's character, who is one of the heroes in the movie, calls Eddie Murphy a watermelon-loving N-word. and like 30 minutes later in the movie, Eddie Murphy's like, yeah, I forgive you, man. Like, we chill now. And it's
Yeah,
like,
dude, they
that's
figured it
insane.
out.
That's fully insane.
Also, think of how old this movie feels
Yeah.
like when you watch it. Our parents were roughly 18 plus years old when this movie came out.
I mean, my dad was in college when this movie released.
Like, isn't that it's imagine this came out and you're like an adult, but I'm just hung up on our parents being like, I'm too old for this. It's like, damn, dude, that's crazy. But anyway, back to the bar scene, because I have a
thing on that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
With that age people, so the first test audience for the movie was people our parents' age at the time of the movie. So like 18 and 19-year-olds.
That's
and
stupid.
They hated the movie. It was received very poorly at the test screening, but Robert Zemeckis, who's the director, Robert Zemeckis, who's the director of the movie, refused to change anything with the movie.
Smart.
Which that paid off.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wrong dude. If I hadn't seen this movie as a kid, my rating of this movie would be a lot lower. Quite frankly, I think it's very. We'll get to this later. It's very well made, but like, I can't deny that nostalgia played a very strong role in my rating of this movie.
I think this movie was worse than I remembered, but better than I expected on this viewing.
Yeah, I would say it was about as good as I could have hoped for. Where like, I would say without nostalgia, it'd probably be a solid 5.
Well,
like,
don't
it's not
spoil
bad,
your rating,
but...
Matt.
All right. Well, so let me run through some stuff at this bar scene so we can move past it.
Well, we have to get to Jessica, which is really the only part of the scene.
So
that matters.
Jessica is introduced, and Valiant, who didn't know she was a human somehow, even though they're like the two most famous tunes in existence, and he used to work exclusively with tunes, but they forget that, the writers, a lot, says, oh, he's got a thing for rabbits, huh? And it's like, apparently Jessica does, and she's got no problem with it, although these tunes can make their bodies shape into all sorts of different wacky shapes, so Roger's probably getting creative with it. And I wrote down, Blake, I already know the answer, but would you hit?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, there's a true mark of a foxy's lady is if within their first or her first 15, actually, you know what, maybe a guy will win the award one day, but for now, within her
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Within her first 15 seconds of screen time, she locks down the award. Jessica did that here. I also will say this is the 40s, so Eddie may have never worked with her directly and only seen her in photographs. So it's still like an oh shit moment, dude.
It's like us seeing Marilyn Monroe for the first time.
And her singing is kind of a cross between Marilyn Monroe singing Happy Birthday to JFK and Cameron Diaz's opening scene in The Mask. And I don't remember a single word said in any of those 3 scenes or songs, but Jessica put on quite a show here, even when she's basically like fucking up the audience member's shit. And I mean, Eddie literally, as soon as she goes on stage, looks visibly slack-jawed.
Betty Boop had to shut it for him.
I think he went 6 to midnight, but
Oh yeah.
instantly, and he can't sit down. Like, he's just like,
Bro, that's why Betty was taking out her nips. She was trying to get the attention back, and it wasn't working. And also, he not only did he get immediately horny for her, but like all the characters are like, oh, oh,
yeah,
and I was like,
hooting,
dude,
hollering.
imagine during the filming of this where there's nothing on stage, so all these actors are just hooting and hollering at literally nothing. Like,
Well, dude, the best part of the scene, besides Jessica's choreography, was Mr. Acme had some very odd reaction faces in the scene.
oh, dude, he creamed his jeans immediately.
I don't know what Robert Zemeckis' direction for that actor was, but whatever it was, he took a very liberal take of act like you're into this.
I mean, bro, he blasted his invisible ink as soon as she was on stage. He was fucking loving it.
That hand buzzer did not stop buzzing.
He was probably using it, dude. He's a kinky guy, clearly. He's getting into some toonism here.
Oh yeah, dude. He's playing patty cake with these tunes.
Dude, if he saw cartoon porn, he would be.
Dude, Family Guy porn would be a huge hit in this universe, dude. Lois Griffin would be the Riley Reid of the Toonverse, dude.
She would take top spot. Who would be second place in the Toonverse adult film industry?
Well, Bonnie Swanson, duh.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
And then, like, all the freaks who are into, like, disgusting shit, like, you know, like, feet or, like, triple anal penetration, like, weird stuff, they would be, like, fans of Meg Griffin.
Yeah. And then after this, he leaves the bar, and he's got to go. He's been paid to take photos of Mrs. Rabbit having sex with Mr. Acme.
Yeah.
And he goes out and uses his super spy camera. Second spy camera in 3 episodes, by the way,
yeah.
that is just comically old. And also the actor clearly had never used an old camera before because he was just moving random shit on it.
He also wasn't very sneaky. I mean, the gorilla bouncer, who I don't think that character had a name, or at least not canonically, so I'll just call him
If
Big
he did,
Banana.
it was probably something racist.
Yeah, I'll call him Harambe.
Yeah.
Harambe Sr., but Harambe Sr. Gets quick wind of Eddie's, peeping Tomism, tosses him out. And then this was maybe the most racist moment of the entire movie. Do you remember what Eddie says to the gorilla after he gets tossed out?
No.
He goes, ooga booga.
Fuck you and your ooga booga food.
Yeah.
Dude, I actually thought the whole, like, them playing patty cake played as, like, a straight man type of thing was actually really funny. Like, if you're an adult and she's like, oh, patty cake, oh, and then they show the photos of her actually doing it and Roger freaking out. I was like, all right, that was a pretty good way of towing the line.
I want to ask, like, is playing patty cake the cartoon version of having sex, or are they going like P&V?
I imagine, I don't, that's actually a good question because he reacted very strongly, but they also do kiss and whatnot. So I guess, for the tunes, patty cake is a very intimate act. It's not, it's, you don't patty your brother, okay? It's only for the boys at the ball.
I think that patty cake is the tune version of an over the pants hand job. That's
patty cake is like dry humping. They're like, yo, you guys touch palms? No? Dude, come on. You couldn't even get to first base.
Patty cake is like soaking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how the Mormons get it done, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's like, well, we're not married, but we can play patty cake.
And then we also, we have, I think it's the next scene where he's showing Maroon
Maroon and Roger get shown the photos of Jessica actually playing patty cake with Acme.
Yeah, and they do like the flip book, him pulling them quickly.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was hilarious that he gives Roger some alcohol to try and calm him down, which results in Roger essentially blowing his top.
I mean, Roger turns into a steam whistle in the scene.
And it was
and it's not because he's mad. every single time he drinks alcohol, he turns into a steam whistle. Yeah,
and
he literally launches like a rocket to the top of the ceiling.
The funniest thing to me was that the guy who does this literally runs a cartoon production company.
Yeah.
And is surprised. Like, you do this for a living. How do you not know that this is going to happen?
Well, dude, my question with this is, let's say this happened in real life. You are like, hey, like, my buddy's weird brother who doesn't really go out wants to go to the bar with us. And you start at the night, we're like, hey, boys, like, let's all take, like, a tequila shot. And everyone takes their shot, and your friend's brother literally jumps as high as he can in the air and screams the sound of a cartoon steam whistle. Yeah.
That sounds like what your brother would do. I don't like this.
What are you doing in that situation, man?
Bro, you're scaring the hose. I'd have to move. I'd let the bouncers kick you the fuck out, and then you could steam engine your way home. I'm not dealing with that. That's fucking crazy. I also, if they did what Roger did and just ran through the fucking window.
Oh, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, yeah, I actually have never met that guy before. He's fully liable for all the damage he caused.
Before in my life. I think you should catch up to him and plug him into an engine or something. Speaking of which, I did love that bit where Roger runs through the window and like leaves a whole outline.
It's his imprint, yeah,
like it's in the cartoons, but in real life, like that was just a good. It's very rare, I think, in this movie where they do the reverse, where like usually they're doing real life stuff in a toon world, and the real life rules play in the toon world. But this was sort of the opposite, where the toon rules went in the real world, because again, the people who made this movie did not have rules. They were just like, whatever the fuck we want is what's going to happen.
Dude, just like the I Think You Should Leave sketch, there are no rules.
He can slap, all right? He
can hit.
He can hit.
Dude, I was thinking of the one where they're shirt brothers and the old guy just destroys the classroom. He's like, there's no rules. But anyway, into something in this movie which felt like a Think You Should Leave sketch, which is Eddie leaves Maroon's office and is sitting by himself in his office reminiscing, which, first of all, he takes off his hat in this scene to reveal one of the worst hairlines I've ever seen. Like, he makes George Costanza's hairline look like maybe it's salvageable. But him and his brother are kind of odd dudes. They grew up, in a clown circus of some sort, and then they started. I did love their sign when they went into business with Dolores, which is 2 flatfoots and a floozy go into business.
Which is Flatfoots is just actually a nickname. Like, it's like Gumshoe. It's like a film noir detective name, but floozy? Like, damn, dude.
I mean, the modern version of that would be like 2 scrubs and a slut start a business together.
No, it'd be like 2 dicks and a slut.
But I mean, this literally felt like a scene out of an I Think You Should Leave sketch. Like, just the photos he was looking at and him passing out drunk, thinking about a piano getting dropped on his brother's head.
That's what I was getting to, is the photos they took are preposterous. Like, I'll try and put some of them up if I can, but it looked like they were posing on the beach in costume with props. But
their trip to Catalina?
Yeah.
So Eddie and Dolores went to Catalina together, and I'm sure I'm sure Bob Hoskins had a blast doing this behind-the-scenes photo shoot with Joanne Cassidy, who's the actor who plays Dolores, because they're just hamming it up in every single one of these pictures.
He was loving it. And this is also where I realized the names in this movie are hilariously on the nose. Like, Roger's last name is Rabbit. Eddie, who is the brave detective, is named Valiant. And then the bad guy is literally named Doom.
Yeah, Judge Doom.
And also, one of the photos of Eddie and his brother is them with their police squad buddies, because I guess maybe they used to be cops, and they're wearing red clown noses.
That was one of the worst / best parts of the whole movie, dude.
And it's like, dude, imagine being the rest of that like uniformed officers group who are all taking this photo they're so proud of, and then there's just two dickheads in the corner.
I was gonna say, dude, to tie this back to an earlier episode, imagine being Costigan and Sullivan's graduating class, and it's these two in the corner. It's just these two guys wearing clown
red nose and be like, ha, ha, ha.
Imagine being Frank, and the first thing you see when you go to pick up Sullivan is those two clowning around.
Yeah, like some dude's like, ah!
Yeah, I got you with a squirt gun.
Dude, that would be so sick. We got to get more of those today. Okay, that's what we're missing.
Dude,
I want to see a photo of that.
If you're a police officer and you pose in a clown nose and your graduation photo from the police academy, I will personally Venmo you $10.
I will add another 10. Okay, a crisp $20 bill has to be worth it.
Dude, that's enough for a 6-pack in some states.
So after this, we get our first sort of glimpse at Toontown on the outskirts with Yosemite Sam flying out of Toontown and landing.
I love Yosemite Sam.
Landing in the real world. And that was the next thing I wrote down, thinking about real life, where it was like, this town is a fucking hazard, dude. Imagine how expensive insurance would be if you live near Toontown.
It's like Florida times 1,000, dude.
Yeah, dude, like people, cartoons, but still people are just flying out of the sky on fire into traffic at any given moment. Like, nobody in their right mind would live near here.
Dude, well, first of all, to bring it back to the segregation metaphor, I was thinking about this. Toontown, I think, is the ghetto of this town.
I guess, but it's like very colorful and over the top, and nobody's sad. So, like,
well, I was also my follow up to this, which is to more in the cartoonish aspect of the movie. How would you react if you were walking home from work one day and Yosemite Sam burst into the street with his ass on fire and screamed, "My biscuits are burning"?
Well, first I checked myself into a hospital to make sure my brain wasn't melting. And then when I learned what was actually causing this issue, I would very quickly move, because I know it's California, so they're used to this, but I don't need my house burning down because some guy forgot the stove was on in Toontown and sat on it and launched 2 miles into my kitchen and set my kids on fire.
Dude, imagine being like, yeah, my 4-year-old died because Elmer Fudd was fucking around with a cartoon boxer hand Jack in the Box and hit him on the street as he was walking into a truck.
Like, my 4-year-old died because we were moving a piano and a fat guy fell on the other end of the rope, which launched the piano into my home, crushing my 3 children. Like,
yeah, my friend Buddy died because he went skydiving and he was handed a spare tire instead of a parachute by Mickey Mouse.
A refrigerator by Mickey Mouse.
Well, speaking of cartoonish deaths, so Eddie arrives on the scene of the Acme murder, where Acme was murdered because an anvil fell on his head.
Was it I thought it was a piano again. No, it was a piano again.
No, the piano was his brother. The anvil was Acme.
No, I'm mostly certain it was another piano.
Okay, well, either way, he was murdered in a very cartoonish way, which I would have loved to see the Zapruder film of this murder. But I also wanted to know here, so the intro to Judge Doom occurs in this scene, and Eddie is picking up some paint, which very clearly later on belongs to him. And he straight up just takes the paint out of his hand, and he's like, "You're tampering with a crime scene." But like, I don't think if he's the judge in Toontown who seemingly has absolute power, this is still not his jurisdiction.
Oh yeah, it was a piano. I just had to make sure I wasn't insane.
Okay, it was a piano. Well,
yeah, no. So one of the first
vibes, not details.
First,
everybody.
the punch. I loved the punching hammer that they introduced.
That was dope.
And also them saying, Eddie, did you change your name to Jack
Yeah.
Daniels?
Didn't you used to be Eddie Valiant, or did you change your name to Jack Daniels?
It's like, why are you saying that? He's not acting drunk. Like, he just walked in.
I also love the police officers are just casually fucking around with evidence on the crime scene and then shaming another detective for being an alcoholic.
Yeah, and then, but to your point, Doom's introduction, they're like, it's Judge Doom. And I was like, what is this guy's jurisdiction?
Dude, he has a skull cane and his name Judge Doom. How does nobody stop and think, hey, this guy might be up to some nefarious activities?
And also, if he is a judge, why is he just walking around crime scenes extrajudicially murdering tunes? He literally melted an innocent shoe in front of the entire crowd of people just to make a point.
How is he not in trouble for that?
Like, even in the Jim Crow South, if a judge walked onto a crime scene and just burned a black guy alive, they wouldn't be like, oh, okay, I'll see you in court tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be very frowned upon. I also would love to know what Judge Doom's early life was like. Like, what inspired him to become the judge of Toontown?
Like, did he start as a prosecutor in Toontown?
Yeah, it's like this guy really has a way of getting lawlessness in the streets to stop. Which, my hot take for this movie, Judge Doom's motive later on, very fucking stupid. I can't get behind that. But his initial stated motive, at least, of like, I'm trying to get Toontown in line because things are out of control. Where is the lie in that statement? Someone needs to bring some law and order to Toontown. I
mean, based on what we've discussed, it does seem, at least from an insurance point of view, he's going to increase property value in Hollywood if they make sure that tunes aren't literally catapulted out of town on fire.
Who would want to live in a neighborhood where your neighbor could burst into your home screaming, "My biscuits are burning," and set it at fire any given time?
And then after this, he goes back. Valiant's headed back, and we see.
Well, we're missing a key character here, dude.
What?
Judge Doom introduces his goon squad in the scene, which is the Weasels.
Oh, the Weasels.
The Weasels no, dude, they are canonically Weasels. And Google that because I know I'm right on this one. The Weasels all get out of the car together, and that was quite a memeable moment.
Oh, yeah. I was a big fan of those guys.
Dude, that's how me and my squad roll up to the function.
Yeah, dude. With real guns and cartoon bodies.
Yeah, and zoot suits.
Yeah, dude. And so after the goon squad is introduced, Eddie heads back home, and we see Baby Herman again, and Baby Herman pulls, dude. He's got a babe.
Herman is acting up, dude.
Oh yeah, he's got a babe with him, and this is yet another moment where I was like, "What are the morals of this world? Like, is that lady a pedophile? Because the baby is explicitly like 40 years old, but he is still a baby."
Well, I think it's like the and I'm blanking on this actor's. Oh, Andy Milonakis, the guy who plays Knees Down in Mac and Devin Go to High School. Like, he looks 12, but he is actually, like, I think at the time of the movie, like his late 30s. Like,
yeah, but this is like a baby, like acorn penis in a diaper kind of baby, and this lady is like fucking this baby, dude. Like, what the hell is going on in this world?
I mean, how could you resist a man who has such charm as, what do you know, you dumb broad? You got the IQ of a rattle.
And smacks her ass as she walks away.
Yeah, dude. His assistant is way too hot to be subject to workplace harassment from that smoking baby, dude.
I don't think that's his assistant. I think that's just his, like, chick. Like, I think that's just his main girl.
His piece.
Yeah, dude. And also, so Eddie goes into his place, reveals his hidden shelf bed, which I thought was pretty fire.
Well, dude, we're missing a couple key moments in the Baby Herman scene.
Oh, okay.
Well, Baby Herman, first of all, is very invested in his stogie. He tells, and the reason their scene even exists is because he tells Eddie he thinks Roger's innocent, which he was dead on with. And then he says to Eddie, as he's leaving, he also gets worried as Eddie pushes him away because he doesn't believe him. He's more worried about his stogie going out than his girl getting hurt. And then he also tells Eddie, I got a 50-year-old lust in a 3-year-old dinky.
Which, again, is just like such a... if you think about it for more than 30 seconds, is a very uncomfortable proposition.
Well, maybe his dick is like 50.
Apparently not, according to him.
Well, his dinky is 3.
What did you think he meant by that?
His diaper. Maybe he's been wearing the same diaper for 3 years.
Is that actually what you thought he meant by that?
Well, no, but I like to take creative interpretations
okay.
to, add some artistic flair to the podcast.
So when we cut back to Valiant in his office with his cool bed, and Roger reveals that he made his way there to hire his services. First of all, Roger reveals that he told literally everybody in town where he was going.
He told the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker the address that he basically that was like the 40s version of doxing.
Yeah, he doxed himself to everyone in town, somehow didn't get arrested or whatever else they do to tunes back then. And then during this scene, I was like, bro, the actor who played Valiant must have been going fucking insane.
Oh, dude, I actually have a note on that. So, for this movie, Bob Hoskins had to do most of his acting in front of a green screen because obviously the cartoon characters aren't there, and they had to add them later on. And he, for this movie, for some reason, went on a Danish TV show, but he told them in the interview that he had to learn to hallucinate to do it, and that after doing his role, the filming of this movie was 6 months for 16 hours a day. And he completely lost control of his ability to filter. And when the cameras weren't rolling, he had weasels and rabbits popping out of the wall at him, because he was hallucinating so much. And
Jesus
the
Christ.
movie fucked up his mental state so badly that he couldn't take another job for a whole year.
Holy shit, dude. Yeah, I wrote he's like the original Marvel actor.
Oh, yeah.
Or the scene, you definitely haven't watched this, but you really should, which is the fall and rise of Reggie Dinkins. With Daniel, it's a show with Daniel Radcliffe.
I've seen previews for it. This is Daniel Radcliffe, Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, so
yeah.
good. Tremendous show. But there's a bit about Daniel Radcliffe being a failed director because his next big shot was to film a Marvel movie, and it's a clip of him with a big blue screen behind him, and then a bunch of tennis balls hanging in the air, and he's like, okay, so this tennis ball is Mr. Magic, and this tennis ball is the flying squirrel monster. And they're like, no. And he's like, which fucking one? I was like, dude, that must have been him on set of this movie. Just okay, which fucking tennis ball am I looking at for this? What is he saying to me? What is happening? And apparently he just, started tripping balls.
Yeah.
And we also see his dead brother's desk is just covered in dust and left as it was, which was kind of really creepy. I don't know how long ago his brother was supposed to have died, but
it seems like 5+ years ago.
Seems unhealthy to have all of that just sitting there for 5 years.
So Roger Rabbit shows up to Eddie's house, tells him he doxed him to the entire neighborhood, shows him a love letter he wrote to Jessica, which cock, and then clowns him for being an alcoholic before handcuffing him to himself, which, again, false imprisonment by Roger. I feel like he should have been prosecuted for that. Also, at this point, Eddie still believes he murdered Acme. So essentially, a fugitive for murder came into your house and handcuffed himself to you. How is that acceptable?
Also, a fugitive, he could have just beat the shit out of indefinitely, and he just sort of yanks him around the room a little. I mean, this is one of the scenes where we see the most of Toons interacting with the real world in a way that even modern movies struggle to recreate. So I got to give him credit there. But we have the weasels then show up at the apartment, and shoot out the door handle to get in. And
terrible parking job.
Yeah, and Valiant's plan is to hide Roger in the sink with his handcuffed hand, which just seems like not the best option.
Well, it kind of works because Judge Doom, which is a classic trope in movies we review that don't get 9+ ratings, the bad guys in this movie are somehow even dumber than the good guys. So Judge Doom, despite seemingly having Roberto Duarte, the Philippines guy who tried to kill every single drug dealer, level of power in the Toontown universe. The best tunes he can get to work for him are these room temp IQ weasels, and their detective work. They basically just go up to Eddie and they're like, "Hey, we heard Roger Rabbit's at your house. Is he here?" And he's like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, let's go, boys." Then Roger jumps out of the sink, hiding under the dishes
spitting water.
Yeah, while they're still there, and they're like, "Hey, we think we heard something." And then Eddie's like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, we'll leave now."
This annoyed me even more because the first time he pops out of the sink to comically like spit out water and be like, the fox, they show a separate cut of the weasel looking directly at him and angled the camera in a way where he can clearly see Roger Rabbit. Not like they angled it so like Valiant's body was in between them. It literally had it so he was looking eye contact with Roger Rabbit. And then the weasel's like, "That was weird. I wonder what that was." And then that happens like 3 more times before they leave. And I was like, also, why do they have real guns?
What are they going to use those guns for?
Well, like, but why not have the Toon ones? The Toon ones sort of have superpowers, it seems, and they are cartoons. Like,
again, these guys aren't the brightest bulbs, man.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, dude, they have like Soul and Vincent levels of abilities of driving and shooting. So
okay, well that's true. And then so following this intense hide and seek game, Eddie brings Roger to the hidden prohibition room at the bar, and when he has Roger hidden in his jacket, creating quite a large bulge, Dolores delivers a banger line.
I wrote this down.
Tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Went right over my head as a kid.
Same, and it might have been the hardest I laughed the entire viewing this time. Also, I will say, I will probably glaze Jessica a bit more here, so I will give Dolores her flowers as well. Pretty good rack, dude. Pretty good rack. She could get it. She
Dolores could definitely get it. It was a foxy lady for sure.
Dolores is a foxy lady, dude. And in many other movies, she may have won.
Well, there you go. So, but unfortunately, she lost to a fictional, not real human character.
Well, also, dude, I've looked this up before. The dimensions that Jessica Rabbit has would be physically impossible on an actual woman.
You had to look that up?
Well, I've heard that, like, this is something I learned at like 13 or 14.
Double D's with a 3-inch waist was a human dimension?
I mean, I knew it was fake, but like I was holding out hope at like 13 that maybe like there were like 1 or 2 girls who looked like that I just hadn't met yet.
Bro, your calf is wider than her waist.
Yeah, I mean, someone on Botched might kind of look like that.
Where would her organs be?
Yeah, well, I don't know, but apparently, according to Us Weekly, which is a very reliable publication,
okay,
human Jessica Rabbit would have a 36.0 bra size and a 23-inch waist.
Even that seems high. It was like this fucking wide, dude. But moving past bra size, we have Eddie goes into that back room and starts to try and hacksaw off his handcuffs, and just makes the absolute genius decision to, instead of sawing the side, just saw directly
over his hand,
above his hand. And I was like, you couldn't think of anything, but I mean, it's a kid's movie. I got to keep reminding myself, but it was just preposterous to me. And then Roger slips his hand right out because he's a fucking cartoon. And again, somehow Eddie, a man who worked with toons his entire life, has forgotten the rules of that world. And Roger delivers a great line when Eddie's like, "You could have got out of this that whole time." And Roger's like, "Not at any time, only when it was funny."
Well, dude, I gotta say, like, I think there's a good chance that Eddie is blackout or near blackout in this scene. So
I would say in most scenes.
Yeah. So I think it's understandable why he's making these memory lapses and fucking up basic logic. I will definitely give the movie a pass on that one. I mean, he's drinking his bourbon like it's a Gatorade, dude.
That is true. And then they get a great hidden adult joke where he's like, "Oh, we could check the probate."
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think it's like my cousin or whatever had a problem with his probate and had to go to the doctor. He's like,
it take a lot of pills.
Yeah, he's like, not prostate, probate.
So the very next scene was another scene that felt like, and I think you should leave sketch. And the jokes in the scene that were supposed to land were not the jokes that actually did. So Eddie is walking around in his apartment shirtless, except for his tie.
For it's seeming like he got out of the shower, but why is the tie going? Why is his tiny tie going on before his shirt? And I also wrote down, you touched on this earlier with his hairline, but I was like, dude, Eddie Valen is 1949's sexiest man alive. Like, that was the ideal body type.
Dude, there'd be a picture of him, and it's like, he has half of his head of hair remaining at 35. He hasn't beaten his wife in 2 years.
Only because she's been dead for that long, but still.
Yeah. He believes that colored folk should be able to watch baseball games one day. He is the most progressive man alive.
40 minutes, 10-yard dash, fastest man alive, they say.
Yeah, dude, he can bench press half his body weight.
And then, so Jessica Rabbit comes in basically just to give him blue balls.
I mean, she delivers a banger line here. She goes, "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way," which was in the AFI's top 100 movie lines.
That's preposterous.
I like that line.
It's a good line, but I wouldn't even say top line in this movie, let alone of all time. That's ridiculous.
To be fair, I think the poll was made in 2000, but still.
Dude, there are more banger lines in Snatch and Superbad.
Superbad is afterwards. Snatch was probably around the time they made the list, if not slightly after.
Well, either way, Jessica Rabbit, gives him blue balls and is like, "Hey, prove my husband's innocent, but also I'm going to be really fucking weird and creepy towards you and sexual," which sort of cuts off the whole "I'm not bad, I was just drawn that way." It's like, okay, well, why are you rubbing up against him this whole time?
She essentially offered to... I mean, she doesn't say fuck because, again, it's rated PG, not R, but she said she will do anything to get her husband out of trouble. And I've seen that movie quite a few times. I also do love how at that moment Dolores walks in, which, first of all, you can be mad at Eddie for flirting with a cartoon in this scene. I would also be concerned for his health that he's walking around his apartment shirtless with his tiny tie.
Well, also, he had his wife beater on at that point, but he hadn't got his suspenders on, so his pants fall down.
Yeah, his pants, what it is.
And he's just in his underwear, but the pants are at his ankles. It's not a good look. It's a compromising look she walks in on, but it's also like,
are you okay?
And also, what did you assume was happening? Because she's like, besides the pants being down, nothing about that looked sexual.
I mean, dude, it probably was sexual for the time. It's
you
saw a man in his undergarments? And then as Dolores and him are arguing down the street, Jessica, you might have missed this, Jessica in the car just does a look back at them like, "Yeah, I am that bitch."
I did see that. And it was like, oh, I wonder if this is going to come back later. No, she was just looking ominous. Well, I think what it was is they included that because there's later scenes where for a brief period they try and make her a red herring, but it just doesn't sell at all. At no point was I like, oh, she's actually the villain.
So that's a vestigial remain from some earlier drafts of the script. In early drafts of the script, both Jessica and Baby Herman end up being the villain before they ultimately decided to create the character of Judge Doom to serve that role. But you can kind of see with both those character scenes, there's pieces of setting them up to be the bad guy that I guess they thought were cool and left in the movie.
That's a shame too, because I see for a kids movie they had to make just a comically evil bad guy.
Yeah.
That's also nightmare fuel. But I actually think the movie would have been better if they went actual film noir twists and turns and betrayals route, but with the tunes. I think the film would have been better, but it wouldn't have been what it is. It would have been better as a more young adult type movie at that
I
point.
think the movie would have made less money if either Jessica Rabbit or Baby Herman was the villain, because I think if you gave either of those characters any more screen time than they had, you were going to have a harder and harder time keeping the movie PG.
Well, exactly. But so the next scene is, so he's stashed Roger Rabbit in the Prohibition room at the bar, which, by the way, is like half of the square footage of this bar is this hidden room that they don't use. And it's like, if you're this strapped for money, Dolores, maybe you should expand your bar double the fucking size.
Yeah. Maybe try to open a location that isn't directly by a trolley line.
Yeah, or I don't. Well, that's actually a good idea. You get public transportation, but also maybe.
Well, it's shaking the bar.
Oh, right. I thought they were like planes or something, because that trolleys are specifically designed to not do that. But
some public transport, my interpretation was a trolley. Okay. Maybe it's something else. Maybe, there. But anyway, so again, Roger in this scene, which. And I'll get to this later. I did not like Roger at this point in the movie. Again, he is wanted for murder and asking Eddie to essentially harbor him as a fugitive, and decides to go out into a crowded bar and perform a terrible song and dance routine. And normally I would go dumb bitch alert, but in this case, dumb tune alert.
Dude, careful throwing slurs around like that. Dude, YouTube's not going to be happy.
We're going to get demonetized, dude.
Yeah, but Doom comes in and to do his bad guy speech to get them to give up the hero. And he goes over to the chalkboard. And first of all, I noticed an apple pie was 10 cents. So, and probably made with real apples and shit at a bar, like a dive bar.
That's so awesome.
So, my God, were we born at the wrong time. We could have been living it up with 10-cent apple pies and Jessica Rabbit shows, dude.
Dude, I could be dancing to Merry-Go-Round Broke Down with a little person.
Yeah, dude.
And instead, I'm stuck spending $14 on a singular beer.
Yeah, but anyway, he goes over and then wipes the chalk with the veteran's sleeve from his missing arm. And they don't like focus on this like it's him being evil. They just play it as like him being silly. But like low key, that's one of the most diabolical things he did the entire. Imagine, bro, walking up to a disabled
nails on child
veteran in uniform, missing an arm, and grabbing his sleeve and wiping your nose with it. That's basically what they did in this. And they're more focused on the nails on the chalkboard sound than the fact that he just used a dude's stump arm as a dry eraser.
Well, Roger was right that making people laugh, that was very heinous. But Roger was right that making people laugh is a great way to get yourself out of trouble, because Judge Doom offers a large reward, I believe $10,000 for the capture of Roger. Mm-hmm. And Angel's like, I know where a rabbit is. And then he does a Harvey reference with a play with the imaginary rabbit, which is historically inaccurate because that came out 12 years later. So I had to dock a point off the score for that. I'm just kidding. But he basically is trolling Judge Doom is the point of that scene.
Yeah.
And then Judge Doom baits Roger. I guess this is like offering, again, to put it in the ham-fisted way the movie did this would be kind of like bringing out a pair in the movie's logic. I would not say this, but the poor way movie handled racial relations, they'd be like, oh, this evil guy is going to dangle a pair of Jordan 1s in front of a black group. And instead, he pulls a old shaven haircut trick, which I'm not familiar with that.
So the song, so I wrote it down. First of all, we're passing one of, if not my favorite line in the movie, or at least funny one, which is him picking up the music from the vinyl player, which the song that they played like was silly, but given the world they live in, just seems like it would be a regular fucking thing. And he goes,
it's like a top 40 hit in that world.
Yeah, like quite a loony selection for a bunch of drunk reprobates. I was like, What is that even? I've never heard that word before.
Dude, you got to do that next time you pull up to the pregame. Whatever song's playing, you got to be like, quite a loony selection for a bunch of drunk reprobates.
Well, dude, no. Next time you go to the bar and like something loud happens, be like, bunch of drunk reprobates. Am I right? To the bartender. But yeah, so the haircut and something song, which I know, the
merry-go-round broke down.
I didn't know that there was a name for that.
Well, Judge Doom says it.
I know. I'd never heard that name before. But so obviously this works, and Roger busts out to complete the song because Eddie got his sleeve stuck on a small piece of metal.
Yeah.
And instead of taking off his jacket to stop Roger from breaking down the wall, he just sort of tries to reason with him, which, why would you think that works? And then Doom breaks out his dip, but not the fun kind, acid kind.
Not fun dip.
And wants to melt Roger Rabbit. And that's when I was like, what is this liquid? And how the fuck is this legal?
Well, he says what it is. It's a mixer of turpentine and some other chemicals I can't remember.
It's like paint thinner, basically.
Apparently the ingredients used in it were actually used to like burn like old film reels, which is why they like put those specific chemicals in the movie. But anyways, in this scene, Eddie essentially asks Judge Doom, who again, anything Eddie does that's dumb, probably blackout. Judge Doom sober does something even dumber. So the guy he knows is working with the tune he's about to murder. He agrees to let him give Roger a last wish, which is to drink bourbon, which Roger's a fucking idiot because Eddie has to convince him to drink bourbon.
Well, also, this pissed me off. He's like, Dolores, pour me a scotch a scotch neat or whatever. And it's like, Eddie, both your hands are fucking free and you're standing right next to it. The lady doesn't have to pour it for you. Just do it yourself.
It's the 40s, dude. You can't let your dishwasher think she has too many rights. But anyways, so Roger drinks a shot and again goes fucking ape shit and does his steam whistle routine and makes a getaway. As Eddie fights off the weasels, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
And gets out of the bar. And then we're introduced to another top tier side character, which is Roger's talking taxi pal, Benny.
Benny is the boy. And also, this was right before this, but as they run out of the bar, they did more scenes of like tunes bumping into humans.
Yeah.
But one of the ladies who's out there very obviously was just waiting for the director to yell her cue because she's standing with her boyfriend like this, like she's sightseeing but not moving, and the whole time Roger's running, and then as he bumps into her she's like, oh, but it takes like 30 seconds, so it very clearly was like, okay, go. And I thought that was funny. But then we get to Benny, who was previously locked up for driving on the sidewalk, and says it was only a couple of miles, which now I'm more confused because if he's a sentient car, isn't he just like a person? Like Toons can walk on the sidewalk.
I'm not really sure what the logic was.
Like, does he have to obey traffic laws?
I think so. I think it's like, you have wheels, so you're a car.
Like, can he not go inside? What if he wants to go on a plane?
I don't think that's allowed, dude. Benny's engine would rev on the plane and he would cause a disturbance.
Well, yeah, that's true. Or no, he'd get too shit-faced on the plane and then start drifting.
He's doing donuts in the middle of the aisle.
He'd be passing by and extending his wheels to smack the stewardess's ass.
Dude, imagine the pilot's like, we're going to experience some turbulence, and he panics, so he just starts honking his horn really loud.
This is also weird. You touched on this before, but it was at this point where I just had to write down, Roger is so fucking irritating. His voice annoys the shit out of me.
I saw some YouTube short of a guy doing an impersonation of like every clearly Jewish coded character in like a 90s comedy movie. The voice he uses for that video is like beat for beat the Roger Rabbit voice. And I watched the video. Yeah, I watched that video thinking I've heard this somewhere before, and I watched this movie and I was like, that is it. Also, the amount of times, I mean, Roger even does it in his opening scene in the Baby Herman short, where Roger will start listing things and quickly get into just a nonsensical sequence of words and just twist himself in circles. Like, was that supposed to be endearing to the
I
audience?
I get if you're like a kid, him being like, first of all, because it's the 80s/40s, stuttering is funny. So him being like,
Yeah.
oh, no, what are we doing here? Like that. That's
Yeah.
classic old people comedy. But I think his voice is supposed to just be like, a lot of cartoon voices are like over the top, high pitched, like appeal to kids because it's high pitched like them.
Yeah.
But just something about making him a main character and having him consistently be like, well, that's stupid. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I cannot like, please have him stop speaking. And apparently, the dude who voiced him, the only other credits that popped up when I looked him up were horror movies.
That's very odd. I mean, actually, interesting you
makes
say
sense.
this. Charles Fleischer, who's the actor who played Roger Rabbit or voiced Roger Rabbit, also voices Benny the Cab and one of the Weasels.
That actually doesn't really surprise me. But after this, we get
Also,
more
he's
like
in Zodiac.
See,
as
yeah, that was one of the
Bob
ones.
Vaughn.
There also like a Saw movie and something else.
Nightmare on Elm Street. He's
Yeah.
in Back to the Future Part 2. This guy's quite a filmography.
But
He's
they
in
were
Rango.
talking. They go back to talking about how Valiant's brother died.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, he died like how Mac would have if Frank hadn't used a word to really cut through.
Yeah, dude. I think he was a hero. That was not a hate crime.
Now, what word would you use if you really had to cut through to get to Roger Rabbit?
I would probably say, you Looney Tune.
Whoa. You're gonna have to bleep that.
Yeah, I don't want to get demonetized because I know we're gonna make a shit ton of money on this YouTube video, dude.
We don't. You know, we're gonna get someone in the comments who's gonna be very upset. That I'm like, you don't remember it.
Yeah, you weren't alive when Roger Rabbit was all the rage.
Back during the discrimination the Toons faced.
Yeah, dude. My grandmother was a Toon, and she wasn't allowed to drink from the human water fountain.
And so we have another scene with Dolores here. I don't really remember what's happening, but she's back in the picture. And I this is when I wrote down, I was like, I don't really understand what Eddie and Dolores' relationship is.
So my interpretation of this, well, first of all, Bob Hoskins before that, we're going to skip past a couple scenes here that are whatever. Although I will say I did love in the chase scene that Benny Roger asked what lever he should pull. Benny flashes a sign that says pull this lever, stupid, and then presses a lever that just rises above the police cars. But anyways,
which is also like, why can't he just do that? It's his body.
Yeah, his body, his choice, dude.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to the scene that actually advances the plot. So Detective Valiant is talking to Roger about essentially why he doesn't laugh, which Bob Hoskins should have got an Oscar nomination for this scene. He is talking to literally thin air, pretending it's a cartoon rabbit, completely deadpan, about someone dropping a piano on him from 15-story building.
On his brother, yeah.
Well, him too. He broke his arm.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Which also, like, how did a piano falling from 170 feet in the air lightly damage you but smush your brother? And then Jessica Rabbit is also helping them escape and uses some sort of tool. I don't remember what it was. I just wrote down that
I know this exactly. So at this point, Eddie goes to confront Maroon because he believes Maroon is the person who committed the murders. And he essentially wants Roger Rabbit to kind of stand outside, not cause issues, which makes sense because Roger has shown himself to be nothing but a liability. And in this scene, Roger gets hit over the head with a frying pan. And at first, it's implied that, Judge Doom or one of the Weasels did this. But then it's shown that Jessica throws him in a trunk and drives away with him.
Yeah, and then she puts it in her, like, coin purse-sized purse.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, dude, Jessica Rabbit has hammer space. Like, I wonder what else she could pull out of that bad boy.
Well, we'll get to some of the stuff Jessica pulls out later, but in the human portion of the scene,
some things you wish she pulled out.
Oh yeah, Eddie confronts Maroon, and essentially the plan here is to bluff that he has Acme's will, which says that he leaves Toontown to the Toons because he believes Maroon essentially had Acme murdered so that he can take over Toontown, run his studio there. Which, by the way, is a horrible plan because he doesn't have the will. And if Maroon pressed him at all,
It falls apart.
It would fall apart instantly. But of course, it does not. Maroon folds very quickly, and then Eddie tortures Maroon by putting his tie in film.
Well, also, he hits him in the face and then does a full-on anime wind-up
Oh, yeah.
to hit him once in the face, not that hard. That was like a classic 40s moment of like, oh, yeah, why I oughta.
I'll put one right in your
I'll
kisser.
sock him. Yeah, I'll sock him in the kisser.
Yeah. And then Maroon delivers, again, completely deadpan, which I think the human actors in this movie deserve some credit for how seriously they play some of these scenes. He goes, I'm a cartoon maker, not a murderer. Well, everybody's got to have a hobby.
Yeah, that was, I mean, dude, it's like, imagine the modern day equivalent is like some A-list actor like Robert Downey Jr. having to be like, wait, but if Thanos leaves Kratos with the Infinity Gem and warps time to change Captain America's Boogaloo stick, what are we going to do? And it's like, oh my God, props to you, dude. And this is where we first see this long barrel revolver.
I mean, it was the most cartoonish, non-cartoon weapon in the movie.
Fucking sick, dude.
Pretty dope.
I mean, I would love to have one of those things. Like old iron with a 16-inch fucking barrel for some reason. And then Eddie, which I had been asking before, like, why don't the Toons have Toon guns? Well, apparently it's because they wanted to save it for when Eddie goes to his car, I think.
Yeah, so Maroon gets murked by a long shooter, which not so much later in the movie is revealed to be shot by Judge Doom, who I guess got wind of the scheme from the Weasels. And Eddie goes to his car and finds in his trunk a gun from a cartoon gun that he was given from Yosemite Sam, who I guess is a former client of his. And the weapons are old-timey cowboys, which was dope.
Is this after or before Jessica Rabbit saves him in the alleyway?
This is before.
Okay.
So at this point, because she solves the entire case when that happens.
So his pistol, I loved, and the bullets all being like, what's it called?
Cartoon cowboys.
Well, I wouldn't put it that way.
Maybe some Native American fellas.
There was the Native American bullet with the hatchet. That did not
smashed
well.
Eddie's bottle.
It's amazing. It's amazing that they whitewashed a cartoon Native American bullet. Like, you really couldn't even give him a Native American accent. Like,
Roger Rabbit walked so Sausage Party could run.
And then we have him entering Toon World.
Oh yeah,
which I just wrote down looks like the world's worst acid trip.
I wrote that exact thing down. I was like, this is literally an acid trip scene.
Well, I will actually say it's more like what people think acid is like. Where they think it's just like everything in the world looks fake and made up. But even then, like, it just seemed like a terrible fucking time for anybody. How do you sleep? Literally, there's just constant fucking noise and light. But I was like, Blake, would you live in Toontown?
I actually wrote that exact question down for you. I wrote that verbatim for you. I would not. It's kind of like New York City, where I like to be a tourist there, but I wouldn't want to live there. I would love to visit Toontown. I would not want to live in Toontown.
What if the rent was free?
Well, the thing is, dude, even if the rent is free, like, my entire life savings and property could be destroyed at any moment. Like, Droopy the dog is the doorman, dude. He is not stopping anything. He didn't even stop Eddie from just walking directly into a 3-foot drop, dude. Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny tried to kill Eddie as he was falling out of the sky.
Or skydiving off the top of this apartment complex.
For a gag.
If you did live there, what part would you live in?
Well, I'm trying to think. I would probably want Yosemite Sam to be my neighbor because I think he's the only Toon who's competent with a firearm. That would be a good asset. If things really got too hot in Toontown, I could have Yosemite Sam pull a Kyle Rittenhouse for me. But
Yosemite Rittenhouse would pull up for you.
Yeah, dude. Which, I mean, his gun inscription, I don't remember the exact wording, but it's basically to Eddie, like, thanks for getting me out of that gun case. And it's like, what's Yosemite Sam up to in Toontown?
Yeah.
I would also probably want to live near Goofy, who I've interpreted as kind of the Tom Cruise of Toontown.
Yeah, he's the big shot.
And I will say also, I had a question for you, Matt. If you had to pick one tune, and I'll limit it to tunes that were around in this time period, so 1947, and you have to spend an entire day hanging out with them, who we got?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it would either be one of the Weasels.
Okay.
Or, oh no, actually, it would either be the Baby Herman. Him and I hitting the bars would be a grand old time.
Oh, yeah.
Or Benny the taxi. You know, we go on a long cruise, see what we could see. You know, he's spotting some babes at the beach. We pull up.
Dude, I mean, having Benny in rush hour traffic would be such an underrated asset, dude. You just pull the lever and just go right past
dude.
everything.
He's just driving by people, hucking slurs at him because it seems like within Benny's character. And also, right after this, we have...
I never gave my answer to this question.
Right. Go ahead.
So I'm going to cheat here and pick a character who isn't actually in this movie, but was around at the time. I'm hitting the gym with Popeye. We're gonna pound some spinach. We're gonna lift cartoonish amounts of weight. Popeye is literally going to make the bench press bend in half and snap from the amount of weight he's pulling up, dude. There's a guy at my gym who will scream grunt every workout. I'm gonna have Popeye lift double his weight silently and shame him. And it's gonna be awesome, dude.
He goes over to that guy. What is the Popeye's line? It's like,
why I oughta.
That's not it. That's from a different one.
I'm telling you, dude, that's Popeye's line.
Maybe it's one of them.
I'm looking this up right now.
I thought, what's he say before he has the spinach? Or he makes like a noise.
Yeah, he says, I am what I am, and that's all I am. He also says, not what I was thinking of. Well, he has three catchphrases. That's all I can stands, and I can't stands no more. And the one that had the olds and the feeder howling in laughter. I'm strong to the finish because I eats me spinach.
Damn, dude. Popeye was an illiterate ass bitch.
Popeye also likes to say blow me down, which has taken on an entirely new meaning in modern times.
I think even then it may have had a different meaning. But so there's this woman that looks like Jessica Rabbit that Valiant
Lena
spots.
Hyena.
Oh, I thought it was Gina Hyena. Well, he spots Lena Hyena, and then it's revealed that it's not Jessica Rabbit. It's just a different woman with alien body figure who...
And a massive butterface.
Looks like a meth head and is smoking that tune meth.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And also seemingly is trans because she has a very pronounced Adam's apple with hair on it.
Well... Again, dude, think about the time period. Trans people don't exist until 1995. So
no, they did. They called them transvestites.
Well, no, dude, I was making making a joke in the context of the movie.
Well, I didn't get it, so I don't like it.
Fuck you. Well, anyways, so she was just hideously ugly because any man who looks like a woman is hideously or whatever. If you look like the opposite gender in this time period, you are not considered attractive. And honestly, contrary to the propaganda that Matt pushes on this podcast, I'm not very attracted to women who look like men.
Just men that look like women.
No. Anyways, so as Eddie makes his escape, there's a blink and you'll miss it frame where there's graffiti in the bathroom that says, "For a good time, call Allison Wonderland."
Oh, yeah.
They get a chuckle out of me.
Yeah, I did see something like that. And this is where there's something to do with him where someone, or like the Weasels, or someone reaches into Jessica Rabbit's bra and gets hit with a bear trap. This is later on in the movie. Oh, okay, because the thing I wrote above that was, I'm not going to lie, I'm zoning in and out and have no idea what the scheme is at this point.
So, okay, I will go into what happens here. So, this weird scheme where I believe Eddie is trying to get out of the building, and somehow, or maybe Lena knocks him out, but some way, somehow, he's pushed out of the building. He falls onto a branch, and Tweety Bird plays a game of This Little Piggy with him, where Tweety Bird, one by one, actually one of the most sadistic things anyone does in this movie, one by one removes his fingers from the branch, sending him to fall toward his doom, as Tweety is kind of just like joking around. Then Mickey and Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse are skydiving together.
Which we covered this. We can
So that happens. And then Eddie is saved from dying because Lena Hyena catches him, which he would have had
a smooch.
And gives him a smooch. And then Jessica essentially breaks open the entire case for Eddie, explains basically like what's going on. It's Judge Doom. He's the one who shot Maroon. He's the guy you should be after. And he asked Jessica, like, why are you with Roger, essentially? And she's like, well, he makes me laugh. And he mentions, like, Roger's a terrible driver. And he's like, is he a better lover than a driver? And Jessica goes, you better believe it, Buster.
Yeah.
And Jessica also mentions, maybe a little later on in the movie, but I'll just mention it here, that Roger was better than Goofy.
Yeah, I wrote that down. It's like, no, she says it later to him. She's like, you were great, better than Goofy. And I was like,
makes me think, how many tunes has Jessica smashed?
All the hits, dude.
All the A-listers,
including
dude.
Betty Boop.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And you would have loved for that tape to leak.
A little girl on girl cartoon action, dude. Come on now.
If the Betty X Rabbit tape leaked, you're one of the first watchers.
The Boop X Rabbit.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. I mean, dude, if that came out in 1947, it would have put the Ray J. Kim K tape to shame, dude. We wouldn't be talking about Pamela Tommy Lee. We'd be talking about Boop Rabbit.
Yeah, dude. And now we get into like the final showdown section.
I also want to say before we get to this, my last unanswerable question from this movie. How the fuck are Roger and Jessica having sex?
I assume he's just like humping he's a rabbit. And they're famous for fucking a lot.
I guess people fuck like rabbits. So maybe he's just like fucking her busting, but he doesn't stop. So he just goes like 10 times in a row.
Also he's, he can contort his body in all sorts of wacky ways. So
can she though, dude. They're having some crazy sex.
Yeah, dude. They're getting wacky with it. They're getting loony, all right?
She play with my loony till I tune. So Benny also in this place, at this point, Judge Doom sprays acid on the ground, and Benny comes in contact with it, and all that really happens is he gets like a flat tire.
Yeah, so we skipped the booby trap.
Well, that's the very next thing that happens.
Okay, well, yeah, so the bad guys
reach into Jessica's shirt, and she has a bear trap in her bra, which makes sense because they're O-cups. But yeah, I guess that's just something she left in there in case a perverted weasel came in.
Yeah, and then Doom loosely explains his evil plan, and in my mind, this is where the movie sort of ran off the rails in terms of, like, before there was at least some sort of like cartoonish but still film noir style plot, and then now it seems like the writers were just making shit up as they filmed scene by scene.
So they mentioned that there's a Cloveleaf Industries earlier in the movie, and that Doom has bought a company called Little Red Car, which I think is a public transport company. You can ride around it's the trolley. So you can ride around for a nickel. And Doom's master plan, even for the time that this movie is made, is very odd. I thought he was going to have some sort of like, grand speech about like law and order, and tunes can never be kept in order, so they must be
sold, well, because they set him up as being like a radical, law and order tunist.
The Pinochet of the town, if you will. But his master plan is basically that he wants to make Toontown into a shitty highway exit town with like gas stations and fast food restaurants.
And says just among the pretty much everything that aged poorly, traffic jams will be a thing of the past. And it's like, where do you think traffic jams happen?
Well, he also says no time to think about what happened to some talking mice when you're driving by at 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And his plan is essentially to nuke Toontown with chemical warfare by just
Yeah.
taking a massive truck of dip and just pouring it on the town.
Which is just like his plan is to commit genocide
To
in
build a freeway.
in the most famous and beloved area of the world. Destroy the entire film industry.
Yeah.
Ruin every child's life, but there will be an Auntie Anne's and a McDonald's, so we got no reason to worry. He also, we have
I don't know, man. I think all that shit is worth giving up for a Long John Silver's.
It reminded me of that meme where it's like, that's a beautiful park, but imagine how nice it would be with a 500 lot or 500 car lot on top of it. But there's, we have what's his name, Valiant. Oh, yeah. So I was like, yeah, so Judge Doom is essentially just an overzealous property developer.
I also wondered, why are the weasels helping him? What are they gaining?
Yeah, I don't understand. And then Valiant says, nobody will drive. Well, they could take public transport. Yeah. Or they could take the red trolley for a nickel. And it was like, hate to break it to you, Valiant, but America is not known for their public transportation. You're making a great argument, but unfortunately, America is like to go vroom.
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, Cloveleaf Industries, which Judge Doom is actually a pretty good businessman because he's the sole stockholder of Cloveleaf Industries, bought the red trolley, which, again, how is Judge Doom making money if he's a judge?
Yeah.
That's shown to be his only job or skill.
He's also never in court.
Also, how did he manufacture dip? So many unanswerable questions here.
I did notice the goon weasels have like the spirally hypnosis looking eyes, which Roger gets when he drinks. So I think they're implying the goons are either on drugs, which based on their actions is more likely, or drunk.
Maybe a mix of the two.
So I think so we're not done with the whole action thing yet, but what's her face says, I love you, or Jessica Rabbit says, I loved you more than any woman's ever loved a rabbit. I was like,
probably
Jessica,
true.
That seems like a low bar, but all right.
Well, Roger also made his grand entrance in the scene bursting out of a toilet, which means everyone in the room got sprayed with toilet water. No one reacted to that. No one was like, disgusting.
No big deal. And also, they set up, and in the scene they mention it, where like there's this dichotomy of Roger's whole thing is laughter.
Yeah.
And the villain constantly saying like laughter is evil and it's going to get you killed. But besides the goons dying in that ridiculous fashion, like they played it as if it was a theme of the movie, but then never do anything with it other than literally having cartoons die from laughing.
I mean, again, it's just, to me, a big misstep of the writers in this movie was, if you nail Judge Doom's motive, you can make a great kids movie with like a message that at least will be relevant for an adult audience. Unless you're like super autistic and just are obsessed with trains and trolleys, the big like climax, like, oh my God, this is the master plan, does not resonate with you. Like, I've been to driven through probably thousands of towns that are like a shitty highway freeway. Like, it sucks that there's not like a cool town there, but it's, of all the evils in the world, like that to me is more of an annoying fact of daily life than like an overarching danger to society.
Yeah, they spent more dialogue lines on his property development schemes than the fact that he was going to commit genocide on an entire town of innocent creatures. And also, I just wanted to take a note that the goons, which, you know, usually we're focused on the main one, are a chain smoker, one who's in a straitjacket, one who is just seemingly retarded, and then one who is a Italian caricature.
Yeah, so originally there were 7 weasels that got cut down to 5, but their canon names, I believe, and again, I don't know what their actual names were or who was supposed to be who. I believe Sleazy and Wheezy are the 2 that got cut out. Their official canon names are Greasy, Sleazy, Wheezy, Smartass, Psycho, Stupid, and Slimy. And they were meant to parry the 7 dwarfs, except again, 2 of them got cut from the movie. I don't think the weasels really say many lines that are consequential or intelligible. So I had a hard time telling who was who or who was supposed to be who. Um, I would say it would be very funny if the Italian weasel was the greasy character, but
Seems likely.
we are not sure. So the weasels essentially have Roger and Jessica dead to rights. They have a cannon of dip pointed at them, and Bob Hoskins, again, completely serious, which again probably should have got nominated
Credit
for
to
an
him.
Oscar. Does a very bizarre slapstick gymnastics song and dance routine. He's doing like back cartwheels, and the weasels are just literally dying laughing.
Yep.
Their souls are leaving their body from how hard they're laughing. And then one of the weasels comes up to Eddie and he perfectly punts him into a vat of dip, which again shows that any tune that gets murdered in this world can be done consequence free.
And there were a lot of props that he was using that made me ask myself, what the fuck is Acme as a company? Because they seemingly produce cars, wood, grenades, hammers, movies,
Anything that can be used as a gag, dude. Well,
houses.
Acme doesn't own Maroon's corporation, so they're not making the movies, but Acme owns Toontown. So his fortune was made in real estate development for cartoon characters.
And owning a lot of people.
Sure. It's not really clear what's going on there. But also at this point, I also wrote down, and also there's a point earlier in this movie that we glossed over, but Jessica shoots Judge Doom in the Toontown alley, and he just doesn't react, or he's not really hurt from it, which is a hint for what happens later on.
He also, when they spill the dip in the bar, backs away from it as it's spilling. Yeah.
So,
but this ending bit is the reason that this movie, when I was a kid, scared the shit out of me.
There's some nightmare fuel visuals here. So there's a sword fight where Judge Doom has a comically large sword. Eddie takes out a sword that I think is supposed to be a Frank Sinatra impersonation.
It is. They used archival audio.
Incredibly hard. I would love to have a cartoon Frank Sinatra sword at my house. That would probably be the problem I had. Then Eddie uses zero logic and decides to pull out a magnet to fight Judge Doom, which again, why was that?
We're going too beat by beat here, dude. Let's skip the magnet. That was stupid.
Dude, the magnet was insane. We're just going to gloss over that. He's fighting a guy who has a sword, and he's like, I'm going to use a giant metal magnet and point it at myself in a room full of metal. And that needs to be talked about.
Well, also, even if it did work, the gigantic sword is going to fly at him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Best case scenario, he dies. But then he gets the steamroller, and it runs over Judge Doom.
Well, Judge Doom, it runs over him because Judge Doom dips his hand in a thing of glue and tries to punch Eddie as a steamroller is moving in front of him. Judge Doom is not a very smart guy.
No, he's not. And he gets turned into Flat Stanley.
Yeah. Then he huffs Healy. I know this is beat for beat, but this is beat for beat. Just insane shot after insane shot. Judge Doom huffs helium off that fucking nitrous like no one. And his eyes pop out, and he has just crazy, insane red eyes.
Yeah.
And then
that's what freaked the shit out of me.
That was fucking terrifying, dude. And I've seen some videos on YouTube. It's like top 10 most hilarious movie deaths. And it's the original Judge Doom death, which is then followed up by Toon Doom. He was a Toon the whole time. Getting sprayed by dip from a launchable boxing glove, then melting, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I will say, watching it now, the eyes are just kind of silly.
Yeah.
But something about that as a kid, like that uncanny valley of them animating them in his eye socket, but still being toonish, I was like, oh, fuck that. Also, I wrote this down somewhere, but like, did they make, what's his name? Something Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd paler? Like, did they, his skin looked super pale and his teeth looked like veneers.
I mean, have you seen Christopher Lloyd in Back to the Future? He's not exactly a naturally tan guy.
No, but he looked like he was in a morgue.
They probably did some makeup. I mean, Judge Doom does look like a corpse at various points in this movie, but anyways.
I also noticed that they actually did flood a whole big-ass warehouse for Valiant to be running around in the green Gatorade, which seems like at least a little bit of a waste of budget on that. And then they're like, oh, how are you going to cut down Roger if the floor is covered in dip? And he's like, don't worry, I'll activate the 8 fire hydrants in this warehouse for some reason.
What is Acme? The other thing in that scene that I think needs to be talked about, this made zero sense to me. So to get rid of the giant, essentially nuke's worth of dip truck that Judge Doom has, they basically push it off of its holding thing, whatever, and it goes into a cartoon train, and it just gets rammed, and like that's the end of that. Like the cartoon train isn't hurt by it. The dip just kind of goes away.
Yeah, I wrote that. I was like, dude, they literally just carpet bombed Toontown with the shit. Like, you couldn't have thought of a better way to launch that stuff all over town than having a train hit it.
I just also feel like if we're going to use the logic they already used, why not just have like a giant water silo or something like that fall on it?
Yeah, something ridiculous. But so after he uses the magical 8 fire hydrants that are also connected to the city's water lines for some reason in this industrial complex, it's revealed that the will was on the love letter, the single piece of paper that Roger happened to grab, and was written in disappearing and reappearing ink, which just invites so many questions.
Did he want people to commit fraud with his will?
Like, why would you write it in disappearing and reappearing ink? Also, the ink that appeared and reappeared on his thing was from the last 24 hours. So did he write that will literally the minutes before he died?
Well, also, this, I don't think we touched on this. That is the actual will he had. Throughout the movie, they established that Acme carries around a paper that says last will and testament that is entirely blank, and he just brings that with him everywhere he goes. Like, what's the point of that gag? It's like, this guy died and we don't know what to do with his remaining assets.
Yeah, well, it's also they're like, it's a goof because if you kill him to take his will, it's blank, and it's like, he's just expecting to get fucking murdered. Also, that's not how wills work. Like, if this will was written in invisible ink that no one knew about, that means that a lawyer never executed it. So it's almost worthless.
Dude, it reappeared when the lawyer was there, then he made it disappear again.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess, he used his magical prankster juice on it.
Anyway, this was a hilarious line I don't think was meant to be. So the Toons are all standing there looking at Judge Doom's body, and they're like, I wonder what Judge Doom could have been. And it's like, not a rabbit, not a gorilla, not a cowboy. And then Sylvester goes, or a pussy.
Got his ass.
And then Roger tries to cock block Valiant for the millionth time. I would be furious if I got electric buzz when I'm trying to kiss my lady. I also wrote down Eddie kisses Denise once in this movie. Eddie kisses Roger 2 times in this movie.
And Gina Hyena.
Once.
Yeah.
So 3-to-1 Toon to human ratio.
More action than Dolores, dude.
Bro, fucked up, man. And
just
then
to get to the end.
I'm just going to end the last one.
Yeah, go ahead.
The movie ends with Porky Pigs, that's all, folks, and then Tinkerbell sprinkles her fairy
Piggly
dust.
Wiggly? Or is that just the restaurant?
Pig.
No, it's just the restaurant.
Yes,
all right, well, we've already covered a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've covered all these, other than before the movie played, my Blu-ray had an anti-smoking PSA. That was hilarious.
Mine had a preview for Planes.
That was in it too.
Oh,
you might have just accidentally skipped it.
I think I did. I usually skip the previews.
All right. Well, before we get into segments,
I have some behind the scenes stuff first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
So, and I looked up the photos of this because I am both a diligent Toon head and somebody who's passionate about great podcasting. So, of course, I had to look in the specifics of this and make sure it was real. And I looked at every single photo in this, and I can confirm it was real. There was a September 1988 issue of Playboy, which featured Laura Richmond as Jessica Rabbit incarnate. And apparently Jessica Rabbit canonically has a bush.
Not surprised, given that it was the 40s, dude.
Also, the movie was based on the book. I've touched on a lot of elements from the book, but In the book, which I really wish happened in the movie because I wasn't a huge fan of this character, Roger is killed in the crossfire during the final duel between Eddie and Doom, which I know why they didn't do it because it's a children's movie. Seeing Roger get gunned down
Would have been so
would
hot.
have been pretty satisfying. There's also early versions of the script. Judge Doom canonically was said to have killed Bambi's mom, had a cartoon vulture on his shoulder, and he had a kangaroo court of 12 animated cartoons. All of these ideas were nixed for either being too far-fetched or too expensive to produce. There's also another draft that was also cut for monetary reasons where Eddie literally transforms into a Toon for the Toontown sequence. They spent 7 weeks trying to animate it, couldn't get anything usable, and cut it from the film. This is probably the most nuts writing thing. After the movie was made, they considered making a prequel project called Toon Patrol. The plot of Toon Patrol, I don't know how this would ever be greenlit. Roger and other Toons, because they cannot feel pain, are drafted into World War II and go on a mission in Nazi Germany to save Jessica, who is a maiden at the time, and her last name is Krupnik, from the Nazis. And this failed to get out of development stage because Steven Spielberg, who was an executive producer on this movie, did not want to satirize Nazis after he filmed Schindler's List. The last thing I'm going to say here, there are a few what ifs here in terms of casting. So I'm going to get to that because the rest of these are whatever. So the following actors were considered for Judge Doom. Sting, James Earl Jones, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Christopher Lee. I think Sting would have been fucking horrendous in this part.
Yeah.
And then for Eddie Valiant, the following actors were offered this role. Bill Murray, who I actually think would have elevated the movie a little bit more. Harrison, but they couldn't get in contact with him. Harrison Ford, whose price was too high. I don't see that. Chevy Chase, who had no interest. I think Chevy Chase as Eddie Valiant and Sting as Doom is the worst possible combo of actors.
Yeah.
And Eddie Murphy, who could not wrap his head around the Toon concept and turn the movie down because of that. And then before Charles Fleischer, who was the actor who played Roger Rabbit, got the role, Paul Rubens, better known as Pee Wee Herman, auditioned for the part, which that is a scary movie. And then very wholesome last anecdote. During filming, Bob Hoskins had a young son at the time, and his son stopped talking to him for 2 weeks during filming because he couldn't believe that Bob Hoskins was working with Bugs Bunny and would not introduce his son to him. So, Matt, I'll turn it over to you with a message from one of our sponsors before we get into our segment.
So, hey, Blake and listeners out there, don't let your dog be the stinkiest one at the park, okay? If you're in Westchester or nearby Connecticut, Westchester, New York, you need to know about our boys at Sparky Suds Mobile Grooming, all right? Blake, you listening?
I'm listening,
These folks
dude.
pull up right to your driveway, no car ride, no waiting room. They hop out, groom your pup right there in the truck, and get you a fresh, fluffy dog without ever leaving your house. Fresh, fluffy, convenient. That is Sparky Suds. Those are the boys. I've gotten my dog groomed with them. They do a tremendous job. Call or text at 914-222-3535 or book online at sparkysuds.com. Let's get into segments, baby.
Thanks again to Sparky Suds for sponsoring, and let's get into some segments. So, Matt, would you chill with the lead?
So I wrote for Valiant, yes, because we could slam some shots at the bar and get into some of his old horror stories of his time as a gumshoe. Hear about some pianos crushing people, you know, a couple of boxing gloves popping out of pianos. Roger
the
Rabbit,
usual.
Yeah, dude. Roger Rabbit, I wrote, no, I'd probably commit a felony.
Yeah, I actually had the same answers for this. So Roger Rabbit. I know cartoons probably, you know what, cartoons can do anything. And again, the way I often think of these, while I am removed from college by a few years now, I do think of it in the lens of this sometimes because it really is telling of who is and isn't chill to be with. If Roger Rabbit showed up to a Rush event, I am escorting him out the door before a singular female arrives.
Yeah.
Roger Rabbit would show up to the Rush event and somehow trap himself in the oven. And he'd be like, yeah, like, sorry guys, no party tonight. Half our steps are burned because this cartoon rabbit trapped himself in an oven by mistake. Also, dude, can you imagine playing Pong with Roger Rabbit? the table would snap in two every single time that
I
he had to
can't
drink a
imagine
cup.
doing literally anything. He annoys me so much.
And then Eddie, I did write yes. Just for, I mean, the piano story alone. If I'm hammered and Eddie starts telling me about his brother getting hit by a piano, I
I'm
might start
crying laughing.
crying
Yeah.
laughing. Foxiest lady for me, I've touched on this no brainer, Jessica Rabbit. Probably for the best that no woman looks like this in real life, because I feel like this would weirdly become a body horror movie if they made a live action
Yeah.
realistic depiction of Jessica Rabbit. But for an animated figure, my God, very hot. Great voiceover work by Kathleen Turner. Shout out.
Yeah, I figured that's where you're going, so I just had to put Dolores. I wrote Dolores by default because she is technically the only woman in the movie, at least in terms of the fact that she's a human person.
I
And
actually
she
can't think of a single other woman.
exactly she was a pretty lady. She got some spunk to her. She was kind of a badass in her own way. I thought she deserved some credit when, you know, the fictionally alien built woman obviously was going to have to take the award, so I had to give her some credit there. But what about your top three side
I
characters?
mean, dude, Dolores was looking right on her trip to Catalina. But yeah, so top three side characters. Some movies I struggle with this. This one, there was a clear top three. So number three, I have Benny. Waymo wishes they had a car as cool as Benny, dude. Benny was making some wisecracking remarks. He was weaving his way through traffic. He was essentially if a New York City taxi driver became one with their taxi.
Yeah, I for number three I put the main weasel goon
Oh yeah.
with his seersucker suit. I just
Oh,
he
that was
seemed
pretty
like
dope.
he was a really committed guy. Okay, like he was ride or die for Judge Doom.
Respect a ride or die, dude. And Roger's ride or die is number two. I got Baby Herman. You know, I wish he showed up in the second half of the movie. That was kind of a
Yeah,
botch by the creative team. Uh, there was not enough scenes of Baby Herman or the other number one side character, but he maximized his screen time. He seemingly was the sleazy behavior that was not only welcome but probably encouraged in 40s Hollywood. And I feel like back in the day, Clark Gable and Humphrey Bogart were probably pulling some similar shenanigans to Baby Herman. I mean, I know Earl Flynn was doing worse. If you guys want to go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, look up that guy's personal life, because it is fucking insane. And he would be charged with several felonies,
oh yeah.
all of a sexual nature, if this happened in modern times. So anyway, Baby Herman was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, my number two was Benny the car. We've already covered him.
Oh yeah,
Just a chiller of a vehicle, I gotta say.
yeah.
But my number one, as you just covered, is Baby Herman. Every scene he was in was just a banger. There's undeniably something funny about a baby talking like a 45-year-old chain smoker, and I just wish we'd seen more of them.
Yeah, my number one, again, a little bit of hot take. I actually will phrase this. Baby Herman is my number one toon character. So he's technically tied for first, but we have to pick a winner. So I wanted to spotlight a underappreciated human character. Angelo made me cry laughing, dude. When he talked about, are you helping Lil Bo Peep find her lost sheep? I mean, that was a banger of a line.
He
And
was laying
then,
down zingers, dude.
dude, he was laying down zinger after zinger. And just him saying, "Who's the client, Mr. Detective?" to the stars, Chili Willy or Screwy Squirrel. Just fucking hilarious stuff right there. And he was ride or die for Roger. And I just looked this up. Chili Willy is a real cartoon character.
I assumed
And
the
so is
other
Screwy
one,
Squirrel.
yeah, big to the
So
surprise of nobody.
I'd say I also, that makes me respect Angelo even more. He's a real tune head.
Yeah, he is, dude. You and him, you spend hours talking the tunes.
Dude, we talk the talk and we walk the walk when it comes to the tunes, man.
So I guess that means that baby was it named Vernon?
Baby Herman.
Baby Herman takes the thumbnail.
Oh, yeah, dude. So we have a new category that we're going to introduce for this movie, but it will be recurring in every single movie we do going forward, which is the best way to get hammered, which is an award for the best weapon in the movie. This one for me also is a pretty easy choice. It is the gun that Yosemite Sam gave to Detective Valiant that has the talking cowboy and Indian bullets.
Yeah, I wanted to give it to the long barrel revolver or the hammer that has a fist come out of it for some reason.
Yeah.
Just because they're those are some bangers, but it's got to be the racism gun. I thought, what an entertaining piece of weapon history right there, military history to get into. You know, the wars that those bullets have fought, I'm sure, are mostly genocides, but
Yeah. I mean, I will say if that gun existed in the 40s in real life, it would be a bestseller. It would sell out probably the instant it was placed in stores.
oh yeah,
Someone whose work should sell out the instant it's played in stores is the movie off screen MVP. I've already shouted this guy out, but Richard Williams, the animation director, um, I genuinely do believe that this might be the pinnacle of animation in any work. Um,
I would disagree incredibly strongly with that. I would say it's very impressive, especially for the time.
I
But
mean, just the way
have
he
you
integrated with the live
seen the
action
Spider
film.
Verse movies? Like,
Well, that's still computer animation. I'm saying hand drawn animation. I should clarify that
all right, I guess I could give that to it.
because there aren't many hand drawn animations really
I'm
starting
not
probably about
familiar enough
5
to
years.
really pick one,
I
so
mean,
I'd give
I
it to
don't
you.
know the I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who made Spirited Away. I have not seen a lot of his movies, so I know
Yeah,
some weeb in the comments section is going to tell me that I have no taste. And I don't know what it is, and like I don't watch like a lot of the anime stuff. I saw an episode of Demon Slayer that was pretty cool, but I digress. I think American traditional hand drawn animation. This is probably the peak. I know a bigger toon head than me is probably going to cite like a Woody Woodpecker cartoon from 1956, but from what I've seen in my life, this is peak. And
yeah.
I think he did a great job on this movie.
All right. Well, I put the animators as well as the set coordinators because whoever was setting up these scenes to integrate humans and animation together, I feel like deserve at least as much credit as the people animating.
Yeah.
Because just think of how fucking miserable your job is, where you have to set up a movie set, but keep bearing in mind inanimate, non-existent objects.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so most memeable moment. Moving right into that.
I mean, I'll just say one more thing on that, Matt. Imagine what a bitch it would have been to make that Roger Rabbit framed like silhouette in that glass. The
Actually,
scene
a
where
lot easier than you would think, but it is still impressive. If anything, the glass part was probably easier than the shade.
Hmm.
Cutting glass is not that difficult, but that's not what we're here for.
I digress.
Most memeable moment, I had to give it. I actually struggled with this one because the movie's just silly in general, but never like to the point where it felt like a meme.
I disagree with a couple scenes.
I put quite a loony selection for a bunch of drunk reprobates.
I mean,
Because you could just use that so many times.
I can't believe you didn't write this down. Roger's reaction every single time he has alcohol. I mean, the caption writes itself. Me when someone hands me a shot of Everclear.
It just felt slightly too over the top. Whereas this one, like any situation, like when Bro puts on Drake, quite a loony selection for like anything you do that for works so well. I struggled as well with best quote.
I have an honorable mention for memeable moment too.
Okay.
The face that and reaction Eddie makes when Jessica grabs his tie. And again, my caption for this one would be the face I make when the baddie turns around and says hello, but she actually is addressing me. So yeah, sorry, go ahead with best quote.
Yeah, so another one I thought was tough because I don't know, I didn't feel like there was. It's not fair to this movie that the last movie we did is basically every other line is a banger quote. But this one I did, that stupid freeway idea could only be cooked up by a tune.
I did like that one. I have I got a 50-year-old lost in a 3-year-old dinky.
Yeah, that one's also pretty preposterous.
And then one real quick, I do want to give a special shout out to, is that a rabbit in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Before we get to the next category, I have one final question for you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
If the two of them were in a race and they're allowed to use their full repertoire, who do you got? Benny or Lightning McQueen?
Benny, dude. Because Benny's going to pull some dirty tricks. All right, Benny's going to like spit ash into Lightning Queen's eye.
Benny's gonna be like, "Uh-oh, gotta take a leak and piss oil all over the track."
Yeah, like he's gonna play dirty and he's gonna win. All right,
Oh,
Lightning
dude.
McQueen's a little goody two shoes bitch.
You know what? I was kind of on the fence with my response, and as epic of an anthem as "Life Is a Highway" is, I think that I might have to give the edge to Benny in this one. Too long, too short, or just right.
I thought it was just right. I think there could be an argument that it's too long with a couple of scenes going wacky, but I really think the length wasn't the problem. It was just that the villain's plan reveal was so bad
Yeah.
compared to everything else that it made the ending feel longer than it actually was.
I actually wrote too short, and this is solely because I would have loved to see just one more Toontown sequence. I don't know what it was about that. I mentioned earlier in the movie what scene I thought was the first peak of the movie, which is the Ink and Paintbrush Club or whatever the fuck it's called. I probably
Mm-hmm.
said 5 different names for it, but the scene where Valiant drives through Toontown, holy shit, was that fucking insane, dude. Like,
Yeah, dude.
I would have just loved to see maybe even like after the Roger Rabbit thing, imagine Roger like sulking about Jessica on, but like sulking through in like a night scene through Toontown as like hijinks are going on around him.
Yeah, like muggers are out there like
Yeah,
stealing
dude.
stickers from people or something ridiculous.
Like Foghorn Leghorn is like, and then he gets up, he falls asleep like crying in the street, and then he wakes up to Foghorn Leghorn like making a ruckus in the street. Like that would have been awesome. But yeah, so I enjoyed. I would say too short. Anyway, movie rating 1 through 10. I'm gonna go first on this one. And this some of this is nostalgia glasses, but I did give this movie an 8. I mean, I like I said, the animation probably one of the only times you'll hear me say this about any movie you do. The animation kind of just put this movie on its back. But I also thought all of the human actors, especially Bob Hoskins as Eddie Valiant, did a great job. The fact that Bob Hoskins is able to just keep a completely straight face with some of the lines and scenarios he finds himself in. I mean, there's points in this movie where he is getting kissed by a cartoon rabbit. He's talking about his brother getting a piano smashed on him,
Yeah.
and he's trying to prevent cartoon characters from getting exposed to dip. And he's going through all of this with a straight face as if it's the most important thing in the world. The weak points of this movie, as cool of a character as Judge Doom is, what they do with his plan, as we touched on, is really fucking stupid. And then I my biggest gripe with this movie, honestly, is that I don't like or root for Roger at all.
Oh, I hated him.
You could probably replace Roger as the hero with, I would say, every single other tune in this movie. Maybe not Lena Hyena if we're being generous, but pretty much every single other tune in this movie. And I am more interested in them, more compelled, and want them to do well. If you made the Gorilla Bouncer the main character of this movie, it might have been a 9. But I just I get that he's made to appeal to kids, but like it's kind of like a movie where like you're a child and it's like, oh my god, it's so cool, this child actor is my age and doing all this stuff, and then you're
Mhm.
adult and watch it, it's like this child had no business being cast in this part.
Yeah.
It almost feels like that. But yeah, 8 on 80s. Good nostalgia watch. Good watch once in a while, if only for the animation. Not a movie I would say would be regularly in my rewatch list, though. Probably like a once every couple of years kind of thing.
Yeah, so I originally had it as an 8, but I had to lower it to a 7 just because, if anything, now after this, I'd lower it further. But I'll stick with the 7 just to give it the respect it deserves because it was groundbreaking at the time. You covered a lot of the similar points. I don't want to retread all of them, but I just thought the plot, was all right until
It
the
was
end where
passable.
it just went and took a nosedive for no reason. Um, there were a lot of missed opportunities. I think at a certain point in the movie, they sort of got in a groove of doing the same bit with the tunes interacting with humans, where it's just like, oh, they're bumping into each other. Isn't that wacky? And it's like, all right, like you really couldn't think of fucking anything else for them to do. Like
It's
you
for the children,
literally,
brother.
like if anything, the part where he's falling out of the sky and the tunes are fucking with him sort of proved to me that there's lots of way more fun, wacky stuff they could have done but 99% of the time they're just like, what if a cartoon bumped into a person? Wouldn't that be inconvenient? And yeah, that, and then Roger Rabbit just being one of the most grating main characters of any movie I've ever seen. But I do understand it's a kids movie, so I think all things considered, I gave it a very generous 7. Final smash cut combined score of 7.5
Yep,
is,
and final smash cut thumbnail of the boy Baby Herman.
yeah, not too bad. But I
Yeah,
think that's it. If you want to take us out.
that just about wraps us up. So, as always, that's Matt Grayson. I am Blake Hammer. So, this is a movie that may have had split reactions among audiences, children and adults. And next week, we'll be talking about a movie that has quite a split in personalities, and that is Me, Myself, and Irene.
Uh-huh.
I want to say, really appreciate the love everyone's been showing our latest episode before this, the Snatch episode, as well as some of our reels. So if you're interested in seeing some of the best clips from the podcast, please follow us at the Smash Cut Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. That's also the name of our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcast. We will be posting new episodes every Sunday where we review any movie that the Hammer and the Gray Sun can think of. So stay tuned for more. Appreciate the support as always, and stay smashed. Until next time, I'm Blake Hammer. That's Matt Grayson, and that's a review.